Today on Dr. Phil.
Getting revenge. Is it ever okay?
They feel they have to do it themselves.
To condone revenge on any level, it's wrong.
Did this woman go too far?
You either said he hit me and punched me, or you didn't. Did you say?
I did.
And did he hit you and punch you?
No.
He says her revenge landed him in jail. Why would he ever go back?
Both of y'all deserve to live with peace and harmony.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Love you.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
3, take track.
Go, Dr. Phil. Let's do it. Well, take a look at these household items. What do you think they all have in common? Well, they've all been used by people to get revenge against each other. Now, we did a little informal research about revenge and payback, and we saw that lots of folks are using items just like these to get the revenge. Now, I don't want to be suggestive here, so you don't want to do this. But let me tell you how they've done it. Bleach splattered all over a husband's clothes is a way some wives get back at their husbands. I had a friend that was married, and he left town. His wife thought he was cheating. She doused all of his clothes in bleach, splattered it all over everything in his house, and then she got a butcher knife and cut the heart out of every shirt and the crotch out of every pair of pants. You can guess what she suspected him of doing. Car keys. I mean, you can scrape them along any car and run up $1,000 at a repair shop. These two are interesting. The bologna and the chocolate. You can get your ex's car in the hot sun and just throw these on top of the hood and the roof and let them bake in the sun, and it will totally ruin the finish. I guess chocolate's a sweeter version of revenge. Duct tape applied to the skin. I mean, you saw this in the John Hughes film, The Breakfast Club, where a kid was hurt with that. Then these eye drops. Now, people say that you put these into a cocktail, you don't taste them, but they create diarrhea. Research says that's not really true, but what is true is they are poisonous and they can create serious problems. And then, of course, super glue. 4 Wisconsin women allegedly used this on a man who they called a cheater. You can guess where they used the glue on the cheater. It's just one of the news stories with revenge as the motive. Take a look.
Several women find themselves together in court. Police say they sought revenge.
The victim allegedly tied up in a motel room in an attempt to humiliate him after several women found out they were not the only ones romantically linked to the man.
Clara Harris using her Mercedes-Benz to avenge the humiliation of an extramarital affair.
Even now, Cordelia Bartha cannot hate her ex-husband, Dr. Nicholas Bartha, after apparently blowing up his East Side townhouse to deny her her share of a divorce settlement.
Did he intend suicide or just revenge? Revenge.
The little boy just caught on fire and he jumped inside of the swimming pool.
15-year-old Michael Brewer was set on fire right here on this front lawn.
The victim was doused with a flammable liquid and set ablaze.
It's retaliation because he reported somebody stealing his dad's bike.
All 5 of the accused have been officially charged while their alleged victim fights for his life.
Michael Brewer is the name of the 15-year-old boy who was so badly and tragically burned after telling police that some other boys stole his dad's bike. Now, here to discuss the revenge aspects of this case with me are criminal defense attorney Anthony Pope and Dr. Gina Bareka, who is a revenge expert and writes a weekly blog for Psychology Today. She's the author of the book, It's Not That I'm Bitter. Gina, this is beyond revenge, right?
Right. This is something that sort of transcends the boundaries of civilization. I mean, civilization is sort of based on the idea that we don't take individual revenge on this kind of scale. You don't destroy the life of somebody the way that this child's life was destroyed. Also, you don't have children doing this. This was a bunch of kids who were acting sort of like a gang, like a tribe. We want to get to revenge, lets you let something go so you can get over it and get on with your life.
You know, if I had a chance between talking to these boys or talking to the boys' parents, I have to tell you, I would opt for the parents. I would want to talk to these boys' parents. What was the history here? What was going on? Now, joining us on the phone is Sergeant Steve Feely of the Broward County Sheriff's Office. Now, Sergeant Feely was on the scene in Florida after Michael was burned. Sergeant Feely, thank you so much for joining us today. That had to be a horrifying thing to be a part of.
It was very difficult. It's probably the most horrific case I've seen since I've been involved in law enforcement.
Was there any indication about what the thinking was?
Two of the suspects that we interviewed were not really sorry for what happened, and they were joking in an interview room afterwards.
Wow. Wow. How is Michael doing?
He's still in critical condition. He had some issues, some respiratory issues yesterday that came up, but he is in for a very, very long road of recovery if he recovers at all.
Do you know if he knew these boys?
The incident, every single one of them knew each other, and they all went to school together. And this incident stemmed over the victim owed one of the suspects $40 for a video game. When the suspect came the day earlier and tried to get his $40 and Michael didn't have it, he tried to steal the bike. When Michael cooperated with police in order to have that suspect arrested, they were not very happy about it, and they felt that he snitched on him. The following day is when they came across Michael in an apartment complex, and they wound up pouring alcohol on him and setting him on fire.
What do you say to parents to keep their kids from becoming a victim like this, or even on the perpetrator side? I mean, there has to be 5 sets of parents sitting around saying, my kid did what? What do you say to parents on both sides of this issue from a law enforcement standpoint?
I think it comes back to the parents being asleep at the wheel and not really paying attention to what their kids are doing. And I suspect that if you look deep into these families, that you'll find that that's the case.
Yeah, Gina?
I was going to say, that's the worst part of revenge, when people act on their own and they don't feel there's a sense of community, and I think that's what the sheriff...
See, that's the problem. To condone revenge on any level allows people to take it to this type of conclusion. And that's why it's wrong. Revenge is wrong. We have authorities, we have police, we have a system of justice that has to answer the transgressions or the wrongs that are visited upon people. And we can't teach people on any level that revenge is okay, even if it's a small revenge, a minor revenge, because people will take it to an extreme level, as they did in this case.
But you also can't deny that everybody feels a need for vindication. Vindication comes from the, the Latin...
When it goes this far, I mean, it's just out of control. And, it may sound funny to say this, Sergeant, but I am also sorry that you had to see this. I mean, I know in law enforcement, you said this is the worst thing you've seen in all the years you've been dealing.
I can't tell you how many times that the word snitch was used by the suspects, by the witnesses in the case. This comes down to they thought that Michael snitched when he cooperated on Sunday to help bring to justice someone that committed a theft and stole his bicycle. We could never have imagined that it would get to this point.
Well, Sergeant, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And you've given us some great insights to this. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You do wonder if you ever start down that road. They say it's a slippery slope. We had this wife who killed her cheater husband with her Mercedes, and her parole is coming up. What do you think about that?
Here's a situation where a woman knows her husband's being unfaithful to her. She confronts him. He tells her that he's going to change, and then she goes to a hotel and finds him with his paramour at that point. What happens with human beings sometimes, it triggers an emotion in you that's just uncontrollable. And I think that's why the jury gave her a manslaughter conviction rather than murder.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, psychologically speaking, there is the difference between the irresistible impulse and the impulse not resisted. This was an impulse not resisted. This woman, you got to think your way through this to do what she did.
But I'm going to jump in here because I think that the woman running over her husband with the Mercedes, I was looking at this and I was twice. I actually sort of see her as a woman who resisted the impulse. Not only did this husband cheat with
resisted the impulse, she ran over him twice.
She could have run over him a dozen times. He told her not only that he was going to change, but that she had to lose weight and get a boob job, and then he would stop sleeping with the receptionist after she just had 4-year-old twins. If you told most women this, we would have taken a number to run over this guy. You would have started with the Mercedes, and then you would have had... I mean, and there were women, I'm sorry, Dr. Phil, I know it's not the correct thing to say.
This is a tough crowd, though, I gotta tell you. Wow.
The women on the jury gave her the minimal sentence, I believe, and I think that they're going to be waiting with balloons and food when she gets out of prison.
Wait a minute. You can't condone that sort of thing. I mean, come on.
No.
I got one word for you. Divorce. If you don't like them, get a divorce, but you don't run over them and then back up over them. And then she got on the witness stand during the trial and said she was reading my relationship book. She held it up in court and said, I've been reading Relationship Rescue. I don't remember putting in a chapter in there about running over your cheating husband.
Well, that's why she only did it twice. Just think of how many times she would have done it.
Wisconsin women who glued the cheater, they're getting ready to go to trial. Now, there were 4 women. They tied him to a bed and super glued appendages to his body.
He volunteered to be tied down. He did. He volunteered. Yes, he did. He volunteered.
I have a fairly good idea that he didn't know super glue was coming.
He wasn't expecting what he got. You know, that to me is a completely different level. Here you have women that decided in a very premeditated manner that they were going to exert some type of revenge on this man. This situation is much different. This is premeditated. This should be dealt with in a different manner, and the sentence should be more severe.
All right, but when they do this instant glue, I mean, because it apparently just
bonds
immediately. But they say when you go to get exact revenge, dig 2 graves because you're going in the other one.
Japanese proverb.
I really wonder if these women ever stopped and thought, how is this going to look on my resume when I'm getting ready to date somebody? And you say, well, tell me about yourself. Okay, the last guy I dated, I put instant glue and bonded him.
I
mean, really, do you think that would kind of dry up the conversation in a bar?
I think that they would make sure that the guy they went out with never cheated on them.
Listen, Gina, come on. Look, cheating is something, you know, you're angry at a person, you curse at somebody, you're upset with somebody, but you can't premeditatedly decide that you're going to injure somebody to this level. It can't be condoned.
It was super
It's not the type of society.
But it apparently worked really well.
But you notice that the items that you had out at the beginning of the show, they're all domestic. Poor women are using domestic appliances because revenge is about the powerless. These women felt powerless. Revenge is what the powerless do to get back a sense of themselves.
What about self-respect? What about self-respect?
This is when someone robs you of your self-respect. This man robbed these women of their self-respect.
You have to be able to get back, take counsel with yourself, and realize who you are. If they're cheaters and they're not good people, that's a reflection of who they are. It's not a reflection of who you are. And if we start telling people that you can exert revenge to this level, we're going down, as Dr. Phil said, a very slippery slope.
All right, we've got to take a break. And I know the message boards have got to be just singing right now because I know people have opinions about this. Next, we're going to talk to a husband who wants revenge against his wife. You're not going to believe why.
I think about revenge every day. She infuriated me by what she did to me. I hated her. Right now, I have thoughts of revenge against her, and I can't get rid of them.
Our next guest has a big problem. Now, months after separating from his wife, he says she took revenge against him by having him arrested and thrown in jail. Take a look.
I think about revenge every day. My current relationship with Deborah is extremely bad right now. It's the worst it's been during the entire 2 years of our marriage. I spent 10 months in jail, 282 days for assault based on a charge from Deborah that I had pushed her. This was a totally false charge. There was no truth to it whatsoever. Jail was horrible. You're around the rapists and the murderers and the drug addicts and the thieves. You're stripped of everything. You totally lose your dignity and humanity. When I was in jail and I thought of her, I saw red. She infuriated me by what she did to me. And to think she was out there enjoying herself and her freedom, I hated her. I couldn't stand her. Right now, I have thoughts of revenge against her, and I can't get rid of them. The revenge that I think about all the time, I think it would be a good idea if she spent 30 or 45 days in jail for what she did to me. She needs to be stripped of her freedom and her dignity, and she needs to go through humiliation. She needs to pay for what she did.
Okay, now, there are a lot of things about this that are disturbing and shocking, but I've got to tell you the one that is the most shocking to me after what I just saw is you've now reconciled with this woman?
I did.
You're living with this woman again?
That's the bizarre part of the whole thing.
Tell
exactly
me,
right.
What makes you think this is a different woman than the one you left behind when you left her 5 months before you went to jail? Has she gone through some great transformation? Has she been in intensive therapy? Has she changed her whole world, her whole life? Or is this the same girl that put you in jail for 10 months?
It's wound up to where it's just like it was before I went into jail. You know, the night of the alleged incident, she claimed that I pushed her. It was the day that I moved out, and she declined to file charges. That didn't happen, okay? And she waited 6 months before she went down to file the charges on me.
Yeah, so I got to ask a question for all the women in America. What'd you do to make her so focused on exacting this revenge on you?
I think I'm paying the freight on past relationships and difficulties she's experienced in the past. And I'm a man and she's a woman, and we have our natural differences anyway. We were at each other's throats, and neither one of us would back down. And we were coming at each other very hard. And it just reached a point of critical mass. I left, and charges got filed.
5 months later?
5.5 months later, yes, sir.
So how did it feel when it hit you? They're going to put the cuffs on me and slam that door behind me for damn near a year.
I didn't think they could do it. The whole way to the police station, he told me that I probably wouldn't have a bond. I would probably be able to just leave, that she'd filed a charge that was 5.5 months old. I didn't think it was going to be an issue, but when the doors did slam and they take everything from you and you're in there, and I don't know what people know about it, but when you're in there, you have no communication. Your cell phone's gone. All the numbers you know, or as everyone knows, they're under someone's name in your cell phone. They don't give you time to retrieve numbers. You're dealing with a phone system in jail. It's not a standard phone that you can call and collect calls. It's through a certain telephone company, and it makes it difficult to communicate. And if you don't have family, which I don't, or someone that's aware of what's going on with you, you're stuck.
It's astounding that this can happen in America. I mean, Anthony, would this have happened if he had had a lawyer?
Not if I was his lawyer, because I tell you what, I spoke to him, and I can't believe what they did to him. First of all, when he was found guilty, the judge gave him a 180-day suspended sentence, which means he was to do no time. So he appealed the conviction, and they make him stay in jail for 10 months. So not only did she exact revenge on him, the system exacted revenge on him.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk with Todd's wife. I mean, she's here. We're going to get her side of this whole mess. We're back talking with Todd, who says his wife made up false charges, had him thrown in jail to get revenge against him. And after he got out of jail, he moved back in with her. Now, was his wife really out for revenge? Let's hear her side of this.
Todd and I have been married for 2 years. Unfortunately, our marriage has been a history of arguments and emotional turmoil. One thing leads to another, and World War III ensues. I can't do the arguing and the screaming and yelling anymore. I just can't do it. When Todd drinks heavily, he becomes very angry and aggressive, and very verbally and emotionally abusive. His temperament and his rage are completely and totally out of control.
I'm not putting up with this anymore. You disappearing, running off in the middle of the night. You're married to me. You better get your ass home very quickly. I mean it. I'm not putting up with it anymore with you.
His irrational behavior essentially resulted in my taking out an assault charge on him last year, and he spent 10 months in jail. I was willing to give our relationship a second chance after the time that he spent in jail, but unfortunately it just isn't working.
Well, Deborah is Todd's wife, who Todd says had him arrested, thrown in jail on false charges, yet she did ask him to move back in with her once he got out. What do you say about all of this?
Todd hurt me really badly in our marriage and our relationship with his inability to commit to the relationship very early on. We really did not spend a lot of time together. He was running out with his buddies, and he did a lot of extremely hurtful things.
Okay, crummy husband. He was a crummy husband. He didn't commit, he didn't get involved, he didn't partner you, he didn't support you emotionally and
That's correct, yes.
And plug in. Did you file a false police report to put this guy in jail?
No.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And I'll tell you why she did. She was approached by one of the court domestic violence counselors who coerced her and went to the local police department. She declined to file a charge on the night that it happened.
I get all of that. Look, did you or did you not misrepresent what happened to the police?
There was absolutely assault.
If there would have been physical signs of assault, I would have been taken into custody the night she said it happened.
You told our producers before the show, and I have a verbatim details of this, where you said, yes, you were actually led into this by somebody that was there at the time that brought this out of you and led you to file these charges and got you to say things that weren't true. Now, did you tell us that or did you not tell us that?
I did not say they weren't true. I said I felt like that I was led.
Led to tell the truth?
To file the charge. It was true. I had reservations about doing it initially.
And right before the show, you said to our producer, I'm going to come clean on this. I'm going to tell the truth. We've got to get this thing under control. Did that happen?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Right before the show, did you talk to one of our producers and say, I'm going to tell the truth about this, I'm going to own it, I'm going to tell the truth?
Yes, I did.
Is that what you're doing?
I think there's a couple of different sides. I mean, there was assault. There was absolute assault here. I mean, that was a horrible, awful night. I was thrown up against the wall. I was thrown to the floor. I was thrown around my home that he moved into. When we got married, he moved into my home.
This was 5 months before you?
Yes. And, I mean, he treated my home like a hotel. Why
did you wait if that happened, if you were assaulted on that night, why did you file it 5 months later?
Because of the extended long-term emotional abuse and verbal abuse and his behavior that after we separated, we reconciled again, and that same behavior continued. Mm-hmm. And everybody has their breaking point.
Okay, and you sent him an email on January 1st of this year, and the subject line said, what do I want for New Year's Eve? I want my husband, and only my husband, to make mad, passionate love to me all night long. That's what I want for New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, baby. I love you.
Yes, I did.
Astounding, isn't it? You can't even speak when you read it. I mean, and I read that when I got out of jail. And I couldn't, and I didn't know whether it was a trick to get me thrown back in jail or what. You don't know what to think,
So you say that she filed a false police report against you and started the wheels in motion that wound up with you spending 10 months in jail.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't do anything wrong here?
I don't feel like I did, no. I mean, he took, my He took my love and the vows that I made to him when we got married and totally tromped all over that for the first year of our marriage. Disrespected me, disrespected my home, disrespected our marriage.
Okay, I understand why you feel justified for putting him in jail. I'm just asking if you ran a red light in putting him in jail. Did you make statements that weren't true?
I may have said that there was punching or hitting, and there was not that to my recollection.
You
but there was
maybe say it. You either said it or you didn't. You either said he hit me and punched me, or you didn't. Did you say?
I did.
You did.
I did.
And did he hit you and punch you?
No.
Okay.
Not to my recollection.
You knew it wasn't true when you said it, though. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
You knew it wasn't true when you said it, right?
Yes.
So you made a conscious decision to embellish the story.
Yes.
And that's a lie. I'm not saying this isn't the biggest creep in the world and you shouldn't divorce him before dark today. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that he's not mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, and even physically abusive. He may deserve to be under the jail. I'm not saying that you should put up with that at all under any theory whatsoever. What I'm asking you is, did you or did you not file a false police report when you said that he punched you and hit you, and you knew at the time that he did not?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a long way of coming around to saying, yeah, I lied to the police and got put in jail. I'm just curious. Did anybody ever ask you these questions I'm asking you now? Nobody's ever cross-examined you on this, which is basically what we're doing right now, which is basically what would happen in court. And I'm no lawyer. I'm just trying to get to the common sense bottom line of the questions. Okay, let's take a break. And then then y'all can say anything that you want to say. Well, we've been talking with Todd and Deborah about their story of revenge. Now, Todd says his wife had him thrown in jail to get revenge for breaking up with her. She says no. She says a couple of things. She's saying, I embellished the story, but let me tell you, there was a lot of story to tell. This has been a rough and rocky relationship along the way, and I kind of hear that as justification. I don't know. I've asked Attorney Anthony Pope and revenge expert Dr. Gina Barreca to weigh in on this as well. What are you hearing here?
You know, Dr. Phil, you did a great job of cross-examination because, no disrespect, but the woman has no credibility. It was clear from the very beginning that she was not telling the truth. A false police report was filed. She should have been charged with that. She should have gone to jail, not him. He did nothing wrong.
And I think the point is, he did not do what was said in the report. That doesn't mean that he wasn't being a jerk of a husband. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think there are lines that we cross when you start swearing out statements that aren't true. You said somebody pressured you to file this. Were they aware that you were embellishing this story? Were they encouraging you to embellish this story?
A little bit, yes.
Gina, what do you think about this?
Well, for 50 years now, we've been trying to get legislation so that victims of domestic violence, male and female, adult and children, have been protected by the system. And when the system is misused, then it defies the credibility for everybody who comes in.
There's no question about it.
So I'm worried about that. But I'm also worried about something that says, unless you're punched, then it doesn't count as domestic violence. If you're only pushed up against the wall, then it's not domestic violence. If you're pushed up against the wall, it can be domestic violence.
Okay, there are very few what I call drop-dead deal breakers in a relationship. There are very few. Abuse is one of them. And you don't have to punch somebody, slap somebody, choke somebody to be abusive. You can do any number of things that are short of hitting them or slapping them. That's not the issue here. The issue is if you'd gone down there and said, this guy shoves me, he shouldered me into the wall, he knocked me to the floor, he did this, he did that, and they chose to take that and prosecute it, that's fine. Why did you lie? Why did you add to the story?
When you've gone through as much as I had gone through up to that point, like I said earlier, everyone has their breaking point, and you feel so broken down and so just shattered that you reach that wall.
Did you want him to spend 10 months in jail?
No, I never knew that it would.
Are you glad he did now that you know he did?
No.
Do you think he deserved it?
No.
She walked out of the courthouse that day around the corner with the court counselor's blessings, I guess, so to speak. Walked down there, everything was set up. Wham, bam, I'm in jail within 2 hours of leaving court that morning.
This is a clear example of the Domestic Violence Act being used as a sword instead of a shield. And that dilutes the domestic violence statutes, and it should not be tolerated, okay? This was abused.
But I agree that the lying is unconscionable. It's indefensible. But I also believe that had there been a vocabulary where being pushed up against a wall and being thrown to the floor was actually recognized as domestic violence, but for whatever reason, Deborah didn't feel as if that would be sufficient. And again, I don't understand the limitations of this. I think Anthony and I, for once, are on the same side because this has to be protected.
Do I think this couple should stay together? I'll let them know when we come back. Have you been physically abusive with this woman during your relationship?
That night is the only time that I guess you would call it physical. Yes, she was blocking the door to the spare bedroom where I wanted to go in and get my clothes. I had a cab waiting outside, and I didn't intend on staying there. I was going to give her the key to the house and leave. She was blocking the door, and I took my shoulder. I never touched her with my hands, pushed her with my hands. I never threw her on the floor. I mean, that did not happen, but I did push through the door with my shoulder. But as far as being physical and throwing her down and throwing her around the house, no, that never would have happened. And if any of that would have happened, there would have been an arrest made that night, hands down.
Okay, stand up. Show me what you're talking about. I'm standing in the door. What did you do?
You got to do your arms like that. Okay. All I did
She's blocking you like this?
And I pushed through like this, and that's what I did.
Is that accurate?
To the best of my recollection, yes. Well, no, wait a minute.
No,
wait a minute. This was in May of 2008. This has been a year and a half ago. So if any of you want to go through what I went through and then try to remember it exactly verbatim, then please do so. But
was that an accurate depiction of what took place?
Yes.
And were you being physical with him?
We were both pulling and pushing and grabbing each other, yes.
No, she grabbed me, and she had my arms, she clawed my arms, and asked her to get off.
Do you want revenge?
Not physical, or like what was going on earlier with running over with the cars and all that crazy mess. I mean, nothing like that. But part of me, yeah, you. Are you
going to file charges on her? Or are you going to go down and complain?
I did when I was in jail, and they sent it back. And I had 30 days to send everything back in, and I declined at that point. It was a moot point. I didn't think I would ever see her again.
Well, do you want revenge on her now, or are you willing to move forward and put this behind you?
In order for our marriage to work, we're going to have to put it behind us. I think
this marriage is not going to work.
You might be right.
This is toxic. I mean, y'all have a toxic dynamic here. You have no business being married. You're going to hurt one another, or or something bad's going to happen here. If you two want to be married, you got a lot of work to do before you start playing house, right?
Yes.
Do you get that?
Absolutely.
I mean, I said this marriage isn't going to work, and you looked at me like you couldn't believe what I said. If this is the husband that you have described, why would you want the boy? I mean, if he's a drunk and a carouser and a partier and he doesn't commit and he's all of that, for God's sakes, who are you turning down? Seriously.
Well, maybe they're getting revenge on each other by staying together.
But if that's his resume, I'd hate to see the rejects. And honestly, you want to be in a relationship? You could go out on Melrose and stop the first car by and have a better relationship at random. than what y'all have here. I mean, seriously, you could throw a dart and do better as far as the way you two get together. Both of you could just take a random draw and say, do I want him or I want to throw the dart? All right, we're gonna move on here. Let me say this. You know, I think old sayings get to be old sayings because they're profound. You know, the things stick around because they have a meaning to them. And that old saying that life's too short, I don't know how many more years y'all have left in this world, but I'll be damned if I'd spend them the way y'all are spending them. This is toxic. You are toxic for one another. Maybe you're just toxic for everybody that you're with. I don't know that. You are an attractive, intelligent, healthy woman. You are an attractive, intelligent, healthy guy. Both of y'all deserve to live with peace and harmony and, you know, have a soft place to fall when you come home, not in this chaotic mess. For God's sakes, there's times that you just need to just fold up your tent and move on down the road, and this is one of them. I mean, really. And if you decide you want to continue in this, then you have to ask yourself the question I asked him. What makes you think this guy is any different than the one that you left? He's the same guy you put in jail. And so all it is now is he's just hugely pissed. So, you know, I mean, it's just time you say, you know, we're not going to do this. All right, next, what one woman from Virginia did to get revenge against her husband's ex-wife. But now, like I said, she regrets it. Well, attorney Anthony Pope and Dr. Gina Barreca are with us and are talking about some of the most disturbing and sometimes downright silly cases of revenge that have been in the news. Now, joining us now on the phone is Elizabeth from Virginia. She says she got revenge against her husband's ex-wife because it took too long for her to divorce him. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Phil.
You really resented the fact that she created so much turmoil and drug things out so long, correct?
Yes.
All right.
I had a huge grudge.
Okay, and so what did you do to exact your revenge?
I tried to get her in trouble with immigration.
Because she was illegal?
Yes.
And so you tried to have her deported?
Well, I tried to have her fired first. I contacted her employer and let them know she was illegal and they needed to fire her or else.
Okay, let me ask you, what was in this for you by creating misery in her life?
I didn't think about that, but it absolutely did not, I did not gain anything from it whatsoever.
You never really thought about what was in it for you?
No, and now that I've done this, I think once people question your character and your values and what type of person you are, I don't think that you can really ever completely redeem yourself. So that's something people need to think about.
Okay, and what's been the big backlash here for you?
His children, who I care for deeply, and of course, they're not happy.
So you've basically sabotaged their mother.
Correct.
And
yep.
so you fear that they would resent you for attacking the woman that they love.
Absolutely.
And your question for me is?
Just how to move past it.
Well, you know, I think that forgiveness is very important here for you of her and for you of you. Mm-hmm. And with regard to those children, I think you need to look them in the eye and say, look, you guys know what's been going on here. I regret that I did it. I'm sorry that I did it. I will not pursue this any further. And it was a mistake on my part, and I hope that you'll forgive me. And I think when you step up and own it and ask for forgiveness, I think you'll be able to put this behind you. Because it sounds to me like you're in very much pain about this and that you really are sorry for what you've done.
I am, absolutely, yes.
Will you do what I'm suggesting?
Yes, I will. I appreciate it. I was anxious to ask you today.
Step up and own it. I think it'll turn around for you. We'll be right back. Dr. Gina Bareka's book is called It's Not That I'm Bitter. Gina, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And in the book, you talk about the fact that there are some classy ways to get this. So you talk about a responsible way to rebalance things.
Right. We want to let go. You want to get even, and then you want to get over it. And it's about finding a way. Usually, the best way is to get the last laugh. It's revenge, that's fine.
Yeah. So the book is It's Not That I'm Bitter. Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Anthony Pope. Now, Deborah and Todd, you guys have said that you do want to investigate the possibility of remaining together.
Yes, sir.
And you agree with me that it's currently toxic, it's currently dysfunctional, and there's going to have to be a monumental shift in this situation, but we're going to make some resources available. Goodbye.
Today on Dr. Phil.
3 of the biggest mistakes you don't know you're making.
Destroying your marriage.
You have an anger problem?
I sure do.
Sabotaging your children.
Come here.
The chaos that you're creating can lower their IQ, can lower their self-esteem.
But you won't believe.
So what do you suppose it is that you don't know?
The biggest error of them all.
You two are in violation of every single one of them.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Love you.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
3, take track.
Go, Dr. Phil. Let's do it. Here's a question I have for all of you. And this is a big question. How many mistakes, big or small, do you think you make a day, a week, or even a month? It could be hundreds when you're thinking about the small ones like turning down the wrong street or dialing the wrong number. But it's the big ones that you have to worry about. You know the ones, like if you call your wife a name because you were mad, or how you handle finding a few marijuana seeds in your kid's pocket. Now, you know it's wrong at the time, but what you don't know is how wrong your response can be as time goes by. So if you're making these kind of big mistakes that have effects that you aren't even aware of, wouldn't you want to know it? Well, today I'm talking about 3 of the biggest mistakes you don't know you're making. And when I say you don't know, I mean that you may not be aware of the negative results these mistakes can have way down the road. Now, Orlando and Sarah are a good example of what is happening in many households today. They fight and they argue. No big deal. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and they never resolve anything. Which is not uncommon. 69% of disputes among married couples never get resolved. Take a look at this first before I talk about the big mistake they're making.
I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of fighting every day.
The problem is that you want to be right.
No, I don't want to be
and
right. I want to be
right.
heard. I feel like I can't talk to him because if I do, he might lose his temper.
I'm not the only one in this house that has anger problems. She does too. She punches walls, she breaks doors. I patched this, but it still has holes like this big.
He broke a laptop computer. He's actually gotten in my face. It's like where he's like growling. His face is like bright red.
My heart's pounding. I feel like my eyes get red.
He wants to hit me and he wants to hurt me. If I were to do one little thing, it could throw him over the edge.
People know that I can control myself because I don't do it, but I do want to hit her.
He has a blank look in his eyes. It's a rage. He doesn't know what he's doing.
I look so like someone else.
He says I'm a bitch, that I don't take care of myself. I look messy, that I'm a good mom, but I'm not a good wife, that I'm psycho.
It takes a while for me to cool down. I hold grudges.
Scares me. I don't know if you're gonna hurt me. And you say you won't, and you say that you would never do it, but you've come close.
Well, a recent fight between Orlando and Sarah got physical and had their daughter shrieking and shaking in tears.
I was telling him, I'm tired, I'm sick,
Sarah,
sorry the dishes aren't done.
If you act like that, there would
And that's the only tone you got
reason.
out of me. He didn't like that I was raising my voice at him. He came over from the kitchen and he grabbed my arms.
And that's when she started slapping in my face.
And I just remember kicking and hitting and scratching and doing anything to try and get him off of me.
I didn't realize that my kid was right on that corner.
And at that point, I just got my kids and I just walked out of the house.
Okay, today we're talking about big mistakes that you don't even know you're making. Now, we're getting ready to talk to Sarah and Orlando here, but let me tell you, this is not just about them. This is so widespread. I know that because people fight. I mean, they do. I don't know any couple that don't have disagreements, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Mistake number one that you may be making and you don't even know it is destroying your marital bond. Now, you may think you're just arguing. You guys argue, right?
That's
you
correct.
get upset. Do you have an anger problem?
I sure do.
Tell me about it.
Most of the times when we're in an argument, I think I lose control and I feel powerless. I don't feel that I can get across a point that what I'm trying to say.
Is your goal that she understands you, or is your goal that she agree with you and comply with you? Is that your definition of what you want to see happen?
Yeah, I do want to get my point.
Okay, what's your goal when you guys get in these arguments?
My goal is to be heard, for him to understand how I feel and to give the best to our children.
Right. Now, you know it's wrong to yell and scream, right?
Absolutely.
You know that. You know it's wrong to call her names.
Yes.
You know it's wrong to get physical and go shoving and stomping around the house.
Yeah.
So what do you suppose it is that you don't know?
I don't know how to communicate effectively. I don't know how to get him to understand.
What's the mistake that I think you're making that you don't even realize?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't have any idea?
I do believe we're not assertive enough.
Oh, that's not it.
No.
No. Let me tell you the mistake you're making that you don't even know you're making. There are people that do nothing but research what you guys are doing right now. And I'll put links up on the website. And you know what people have figured out that research this? There are certain things that you can do in the way you fight that predict whether or not you're going to have a divorce with over 90% accuracy. Well, let me tell you, I wrote down a lot of the categories that these researchers look at across time. You two are in violation of every single one of them. Do you call her names?
Yes, I do.
You belittle her?
I don't mean to, but it happens.
You curse at her?
Yes, I do.
You attack her character?
Emotionally, yes.
90%. You guys are headed for a train wreck divorce. And if you're not going to change what you're doing, if you're not going to change how you're fighting, why you're fighting, how you're fighting, and even what you're fighting about, you might as well shut this down.
But we're going to make it work somehow. That's why we're here.
Really?
We have to.
What are you going to change?
Anything that I need to.
Well, do you criticize him in a contemptuous way?
I guess.
Do you tell him he's useless? What do you mean you guess? Have you been there for 6 years?
Whenever he's ignoring me, but I say it out of frustration.
I don't want your justification. I want you to acknowledge the behavior.
Yeah.
You say, yes, I do it when I'm frustrated. I don't care why you do it right now. I just care what you do. Do you lash back at him when he attacks you?
Yeah.
And you do the same thing?
Unfortunately.
And neither of you let the other retreat with dignity, do you?
Yeah.
At some point, Anybody with any backbone whatsoever is going to say, I've had enough of that. I've had enough of that. Do you think this is an intelligent woman?
Absolutely. She's the most wonderful woman.
Do you think she's a devoted mother?
Absolutely. I have no doubt about that.
Do you think that she's beautiful and attractive and vibrant as a woman?
Yes, I do.
Then what the hell makes you think she's going to put up with you telling her she's a stupid bitch?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Because if you don't think there isn't somebody in this world that will scoop her up and treat her with dignity and respect, I got news for you. They're lined up. What you're going to have done is fractured your family and alienated your wife. And it's the same thing with you. I mean, you belittle him at some point, he's going to say, you know, I'd rather be healthy alone than sick with her. I mean, you call him useless. He says you're stubborn. I mean, you know how to push the buttons, right? When you get mad, you push them.
Yeah, he pushes mine too. We do it to each other. We do it to each other.
Okay. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to find out why Orlando and Sarah need to keep their fights private and stop giving their kids a front row seat. Not only are you sealing the fate of your marriage, you are programming your children to repeat your behavior when they grow up. Do you love her?
Absolutely, I do.
Will you miss her when she's gone?
I always do.
Because she is leaving. She doesn't know it yet. But if this continues, she's leaving.
The main problem that we have as a couple is my anger.
He has all the tools. He's read about it. He's gone to anger management. But is it really possible to change?
Well, today we're revealing the top 3 biggest mistakes that you don't know you're making. Now, what I mean by that is that you are creating permanent damage, lasting damage, and right now we're talking about it with regard to your relationship. Would you do the things you're doing if you knew that by choosing that, you choose divorce with 90% certainty?
No.
You have such a chip on your shoulder that you come into this already with built-up resentment about what she did the last time, right?
Yes.
And you can predict what he's going to do. You've seen it. You know when it's starting.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've always talked about something I call the first 4 minutes. If you've been apart and you come together, you've been off for the day or something, you come together, what happens in the first 4 minutes is going to determine how the rest of that evening goes.
Yep.
If you open the door yelling, what's this bill? Why'd you do this? Well, what's wrong with you? How come this isn't done? That's how it's going to turn out with 96% accuracy. They end the way they begin. On the other hand, if you say, you know what? Dr. Phil's right. If we've got some problems to discuss, let's set them aside. But in the first 4 minutes, how was your day? You know, are things going for you? Can I help you in some way? Let me tell you about this, tell you about that. That too predicts exactly the way it's going to turn out because you come together in that way. But y'all don't do that. You begin with a really harsh startup. You've got to deal with these things privately. Keep them away from your children. You change who those children are. When they observe this aggressiveness, they become aggressive in their life. They have a distorted view of relationships when they see this stuff. So not only are you sealing the fate of your marriage, you are programming your children to repeat your behavior when they grow up. You hadn't thought about that.
I don't want them.
Do you want them to be afraid of you?
No.
Do you want them to be afraid of life?
No, I can't.
So what do you want?
And we're willing to do anything for these children, for us, and as a person, as Sarah, just as a person and me as individual, we need to work in all those.
Do you love her?
Absolutely, I do.
Will you miss her when she's gone?
I always do.
Because what I've told you here is she is leaving. She doesn't know it yet. But if this continues, she's leaving.
I know that. Right now is the calm before the storm, and we know that.
Look, this situation needs a hero. You have the ability to say, I'm going to change the goal that I have when we have a disagreement or something that we don't see eye to eye on. My goal is going to be that I want to be understood. I want to tell you how I feel, and then I'm going to trust in you that you love me enough that you're going to try to find a way where we can both get what we want. You don't own her. You don't control her. You can't tell her how to feel. So what you've got to take a step of trust. You got to say, this situation needs a hero and I'm going to be it. You have to rise above this here. And you have to do the same thing. You got to say, you know what? We're just not going to do it. It's not going to happen. We can have disagreements, but we're going to take them private. We're going to keep them private. We're going to focus on the issue. We're not going to assassinate one another's character. There are so many things. We're going to talk about the 8 non-negotiable rules all couples need to follow if they're going to fight fair and not determine a bad destiny to their marriage when we come back.
We have been separated 3 times. It's like every 2 years we have this cycle where we're good for a little while, then we end up separated for, a couple of months. And then we start working harder, and he tries to put the stubbornness behind him, but then it always comes back to the same thing.
Things get better for a couple of months, and then things go up to the same loophole again, and here we go again, and we're just going in circles.
We can't communicate. We don't know how.
Well, today we're talking about the top 3 biggest mistakes people don't know they're making. Now, get what I said, don't know they're making. Now, Orlando and Sarah don't fight fair. In fact, they've been fighting in such a way that I have said research tells us that this is doomed. This is destined to wind up in divorce. If you're doing these things at home, then you need to understand that you are programming yourself for divorce. If you're starting these things harshly on attack, if you show disgust and character assassination and name-calling, you forget about the issue and attack the person, you are sealing your fate. I mean, that's a terrible place to go. You don't want to do that. If you use sarcasm and mockery and name-calling, all of those things do a damage that has a long-term effect. There's nothing wrong with arguing. People that argue live longer. But there are rules that you need to follow if you're going to do this properly. And the first thing I've said is you've got to take it private and you got to keep it private. Okay? So the kids are out of this, right? Can we make that deal today?
Oh, yes.
The kids are out of this.
The
If you want to
last
talk
time we
about
said it
something,
was
you just need to decide you're going to go take a walk down the street and let the neighbors hear it, but not the kids. You got to keep it relevant. And it's so important that you stay on point here. You've got to decide, all right, what is it we're talking about here? You're talking about, I don't like the way she cleans house, or I don't like the way he helps around the house, or I don't like whatever it is. Decide what you're going to talk about and stay on point. You've got to avoid that character assassination of saying you're useless, you're stupid, you're stubborn, you're blah, 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 blah. And you've got to allow your partner to retreat with dignity. There's a point at which you've got to decide, my goal here is not to win. My goal here is to advance our understanding here. Because if you win, then that means she, what?
She loses, yeah.
She loses. Now, do you like losing?
No.
At anything?
Of course not.
So why would you think your spouse would? It doesn't have to be win-lose. It can be, look, I want you to understand how I feel about this, what this says to me. And maybe it's my culture, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, whatever. But this is how I feel about this. I want you to know that. And now that you know that, I'm going to trust that we're going to make changes going forward. So let's go do something else.
Yeah, well, I'm from a different country, and she's from here.
And where are you from?
Colombia.
Uh-huh.
And there's certain stereotypes with how women does their job in their house and how men does different things in the house. So to overcome the stereotype of the tradition that I have is not easy. Even though I know that I married an American girl.
Yeah, she's very American.
Tell me about it.
And you're in America. And it doesn't mean that you abandon or you disrupt your culture, but you also have to recognize that she has a culture as well. I've had the pleasure of knowing a lot of Colombians, and I don't think you would find any professionals down there that would endorse name calling and getting aggressive and physical. In fact, there is a tremendous commitment to family respect and dignity and unity in Colombia, true?
Absolutely.
It's a very family-based society. It's not at all what you're doing here. It may be the contrast that bring out the frustration. But you know, sit down and have a discussion about those things inspires understanding. But yelling and screaming because she doesn't behave consistent with an expectation you have is A, not a Colombian value, and B, won't work. Now, I want to help you guys with this, and what I want to do is I want to get a professional involved with y'all to sit down with you and make a list of things that you think you disagree about and help you problem solve. You're getting overwhelmed. I really want to get you some help with that. I want to give you a wake-up call here. I've never been under the misapprehension that we do 8-minute cures on this show, okay? Now let me get you some help. We're going to work through this. You going to keep us posted?
Yes.
All right, next, we're revealing the number 2 mistake that people don't know they're making. It has to do with parents, and many moms and dads out there are doing it. I'm going to tell you what it is, and I'm going to tell you what the impact is that you don't know after the break.
I have 2 sets of twins. My husband and I can't seem to discipline our children.
Don't raise your hands at me. Come here.
What's wrong with you?
Listen to me. Go. Stand in the corner. Keep it up.
Through the whole building, you can hear him screaming.
I really want you to pay attention to today's topic because we're talking about the top 3 biggest mistakes you don't know you're making that may end up having a really adverse effect on you and your family, particularly in the long term. Now, doing this show for the last 8 years, I've seen so many couples struggle with how to discipline their children. And there is a right and a wrong way to do it. It's really not as hard as you might think if you can get on the same page. Now, Nedra and Nikio have 2 sets of twins under 4. 2 sets of twins under 4. So I have no problem understanding why they came here. They wanted a break. I can totally understand it. Now, Nikio says that Nedra undermines his authority, while Nedra thinks that his punishments are just too harsh.
Listen to me. Don't raise your hands at me.
I feel like I would have to spank him all day long.
I have 2 sets of twins. My husband and I can never agree on disciplining our older son. Come here. Go. Stand in the corner. Keep it up. We have like differences in opinion.
She mainly yells at him a lot,
Hello, I am talking to you.
and me, I'm more of like physical with him.
If I tell him to go stand in the corner, I need him to stand there at attention for at least 10 minutes. I don't want him to be moving around, fidgeting like he's doing right now.
Putting him there is because I don't want to hit him.
Why are you wet? Did you pee on yourself? You did, didn't you? What did I tell you about peeing on yourself? Huh? What did I say? Do not pee on yourself. I was raised in a home where you do something, you get disciplined. And it's not just like with a whip, it can be with an extension cord, radio cord. And I don't want to repeat the same cycle with my children.
Whenever I discipline my son, my wife will come and give him a hug and, you know, oh, it's okay. And then look at me and say, oh, why are you being so mean to him, you know?
Both of us tend to undermine each other when it comes to disciplining them.
What we're doing is not working.
Okay, now you had trouble watching that.
I do.
Tell me why.
Because I love them so much. And I don't like to hit them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it bothered me when I saw myself spanking her.
Do you think maybe you shouldn't do that?
Well,
or are you one of those that says, spare the rod, spoil the child?
I am sometimes, but I think what the problem is I know what it's like to do something and get spanked, so that's all I really know, and I think that I'm passing it on to my kids.
Mm-hmm. How about you? You think that it's best to spank them when they do wrong?
I know it's not best. That's why I'm here, because I know that's what I've been doing.
Well, I mean, no, maybe it is. Let me tell you, there's a school of thought out there that says, spare the rod, spoil the child. I mean, maybe it's the right thing to do.
That's the way I was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
That's what my mom believed, so that's what I give to my kids.
Yeah, so it's just a legacy.
Yes.
It's what you got, and how were you spanked?
You know, with belts, sometimes extension cords, switches.
Do you think that was wrong?
Yeah, I did.
But yet you're modeling the behavior, right?
Yes, I am.
Let me ask y'all something. Are y'all under the impression that your children are hard of hearing?
They act like it at times.
Are you under the impression that if you say things louder, that their comprehension and retention is enhanced in some way?
When I raise my voice, I just want them to know I mean what I'm saying at the moment.
I was wondering, because y'all were kind of one-on-one, but you were just really yelling, and that kind of creates chaos.
I don't know. I think because I'm from a foreign country, I have a tendency to scream really loudly.
Where are you from?
St. Vincent.
St. Vincent, do they scream a lot down there? I've got a picture of your little ones right now. They're in the green room. Oh, they're just as cute as they can be. I noticed your son there has a mohawk going. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got a reverse mohawk, and it works for me. Look, here's the thing. Let me just be real clear with y'all about what I'm saying about mistakes that you don't know you're making. You might know that, oh, I shouldn't have yelled right then, right? When you yell at kids and you spank them and you have aggressive behavior with them, do you know that as many as 60% of those kids are going to grow up to be aggressive in their relationships with other people? Not just as parents, in their relationships with other people. If they get hit at home, they just go out and hit other people. Now, and the research is broad on that. It's somewhere between 30 and 60%, but I mean, you're kind of training them to do that. There's also some pretty impressive research that might shock you and people at home, that kids that have been spanked as a group have an IQ 5 points lower at the age of 5 than kids that don't get spanked.
I didn't know that.
That could be why my son, his speech is kind of delayed.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
Yes.
And by the way, is what you're doing working?
No, it doesn't work at all.
No. It seems like he's getting more angry and more rebellious, like every day. It doesn't seem to get better, it's getting worse. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
It doesn't work. So like if you were trying to push a rock up a hill with a noodle and it didn't work, but you say, well, I don't know what else to do. So you'd just still be out there trying to push up a rock up a hill with a noodle?
No, I wouldn't do that.
I mean, you'd figure something else, right? You want me
Yes.
to give you an alternative?
That's what we need.
So glad you said that. We'll be right back.
Listen to me, I'm talking to you. It's gonna be a but next time. Do you feel bad that mommy spanked you?
Yeah.
You did?
You spanked me.
Yeah, I spanked you. Get up.
Okay, today we're revealing the top 3 biggest mistakes you don't know you're making. I'm not talking about the ones you know, I'm talking about the ones you don't know you're making. It's human to make mistakes, I mean, clearly. But what happens when these mistakes have lasting effects on your family and you don't know you're making them? Now, being on the same page when it comes to disciplining your children is so very important. You've got to be on the same page. Now, Nikio says that his wife Nedra is making him look like the bad guy when it comes to disciplining their 2, count them, 2 sets of twins. That's a busy time, no question about it. The number 2 mistake is sabotaging your child's future. The chaos that you're creating can lower their IQ, it can lower their self-esteem, it can cause them to repeat these things just like you guys are doing. At somewhere you have to break the legacy, right?
Right.
You guys know that what you're doing isn't working. So in the moment, so you know that's a mistake, right? Because you could say, I'm down there yelling at her and she's just crying. And when you're crying, you're not learning, right? And the louder you yell, the louder she cries, and so it just more rigid she gets, right? How old are the youngest set of twins?
1.5.
Okay, 1.5, and you know, we've asked you questions, and you're actually disciplining the 1.5-year-olds, right? Mm-hmm. If they're doing something you don't want them to do, and you don't put a 1.5-year-old in timeout or spank them, you just redirect them away from that to something you do want them to do. You catch them doing things right, and you just scoop them up and love them and hug them and do all the things that communicates to them like, yeah, that was a wonderful thing that I just did. As they get older, as children get older, then they understand currency. There are things that they like to do. They might like to play with a certain toy, and at that point you may say, you play nice here with your brother or sister here, and for 30 minutes quietly, and then we're going to get all the dolls out, and you can put a timer up and show them. So they begin to say, I earned this doll, and I'm proud of that. Now, let me be very clear about rewarding these children with a lot of attaboys, a lot of pats on the back. You never, ever let a child believe that your love and approval is conditional on their behavior. That's not what I'm saying. You got to love them when they're lovable, love them when they're not lovable. They got to know that no matter what happens, you love them. But you don't have to love their behavior all the time, and that's a separate thing. You got to turn that volume way, way down. I'm not one for spanking. I don't think it's a good discipline tool. I don't think it's a good learning tool. It's not a good environment for learning, and it isn't working. Because you just get tougher and they just get tougher. And then they get rebellious. Because, there's kind of a conflict in there. It's like, y'all are supposed to love me, but you're inflicting pain on me.
Yeah.
So I think what you guys have to do is negotiate between you what the consequences are going to be, what the redirection strategies are going to be, and then you've got to turn down the chaos. These children need to live in a joyous environment, a peaceful environment. And you say, that's easy for you, Dr. Phil. You don't have 2 sets of twins under 4. Y'all are probably wondering why I'm not throwing you under the bus here and saying that you're bad parents because you got chaos. I'm not saying that because you're not bad parents. We asked y'all a million questions leading up to this show, didn't we?
Yes.
We interviewed, asked you millions of questions. Let me tell you something about these folks. These are nice, loving, caring parents. I've written a book called Family First, and it came out a long time ago, but I'm going to give you a copy of that. I'm going to give it to you in a book form. I'm going to give it to you on CD so you can listen to it in your car, and I'm going to mark some pages that I want you to read first. And it is very specific parenting behavior strategies. And for you at home, I'm going to put a lot of that on the website today, so it will be there. And if you need further help with that, then I'm going to get it for you. But what we need to do is calm down, because what you're doing is creating children that are going to grow up angry, and they're going to start rebelling really, really soon.
And that's what I don't want.
No, you really don't. All right, coming up, find out why my next guest has a lot in common with many of you out there. We're talking about the 3 biggest mistakes you don't even know you're making. And she's guilty of number 3 in a big way. We'll be right back. We've been talking about the top 3 biggest mistakes that you all could be making without even knowing it. And I hate that if I'm making a mistake and I don't know it. I don't know what the impact is. So that's what we're trying to talk about today. And if you're doing it, you could be jeopardizing things way down the road. Now, anyone who's been following the news for the past year knows that a lot of smart people made some pretty big mistakes when it comes to handling finances. Our government did it, the companies did it, and some of us did it. My next guest, Liz, is no exception. She is guilty of number 3, destroying your financial future.
Dr. Phil, I have a lot of decisions to make. My condo, I bought on a whim. So obviously I knew nothing about common fees, taxes. Do I foreclose on my condo that I can't afford to pay since I lost my job? My student loans kick in June. If I can't pay the bills that I have now, I cannot afford an additional $600 a month. Is my reason for going to grad school just to defer my student loans? This is the entrance to my office. My mom put the sign up here, finest consignments. I have a lot of gorgeous designer clothes that I have here that I list on eBay. When you're selling stuff to make your own living, it's scary. Am I fooling myself in thinking that because I've got this time on my hands that I can even start my own business? School is now tied into the condo, is now tied into the job, is now tied into starting my own business, is now tied into life, and I'm like sitting there like a nervous wreck, like, what do I do? That's the insanity of my life. Thank you.
Well, that was Liz, and I brought in reinforcements for you. Okay, sitting right next to you here is Marilyn Logan, known as the Money Lady. And she's joining us today, and she really wants Liz to think through her options here.
You know what, I want to congratulate her for being trying to be a homeowner. That's absolutely wonderful. So she got into the game of being responsible. That's awesome. However, you did borrow that money from your parent, right?
Correct.
Your mom.
For the down payment.
That's not the good part of the game.
Correct.
Because to contribute to be a homeowner, you need to put your own money up. You need to save your own money. So that was kind of like a money mistake. So getting in the game of being a homeowner was very responsible. And actually, her monthly payments, it was enough to, you could make that money. Even if you're working in McDonald's or Taco Bell, you could have done that. I want you to understand you're not by yourself.
Right.
We all have made money mistakes. The mistake was when you went and got an equity loan. An equity loan, pulling money out of your house, is something that someone does when they have their home for at least 20 or 25 years. You'd only had this property for about 2 years. So there was no equity really to pull out. So you pull money out of the home, and that was...
At the time that I did it, it was to consolidate credit card debts that were at a higher APR. So
okay, let's talk about that for a second, because I want people at home to understand your thought process. Right. There is a logic to your thought process. You say, I can get this loan and it's a lesser interest rate than this, so I can take a lower interest rate loan to pay off a higher interest rate loan, and I'm therefore making money. I'm creating cash flow by reducing interest income. But the huge problems with that are you wind upside down in a really big loan. You owe more than this asset is worth. Right. And in many states, when you take out an equity loan, your home is no longer protected. It can now be taken away from you. If you default on a small loan, they can take your house, sell it right out from under you, and you owe the bank the difference. Okay. True?
Absolutely.
So now that I'm in this situation, do I look at foreclosure as a viable option? Do I keep working with the bank that I knew I was losing my job earlier this year, and I contacted the bank right away, as everyone says that I should, and I'm not getting any assistance from them. I've offered, I thought I came up with what seemed to be mutually beneficial, options, that I would do a loan deferment, like my student loans are deferred while I'm in school. I thought that was a good option. Do interest-only payments while I'm on unemployment, so then they're still getting their money and I'm showing a good faith effort, and they've said no to everything. So
well, you're doing the right thing to be opening the dialogue. There's no question about that. But Marilyn, go ahead.
I want you to first admit that what you did right, and then I want you to look at all the financial mistakes that you've done. Okay. And that, for the most part, is that you're borrowing too much money. See, no one put a gun to your head to say, go get that home equity loan.
But that's already done.
I know. And no one put a gun to your head to say, go and get a signature loan. So what I want you to do now is start all over again. Okay. And do it the right way.
But wait a minute. What you're saying is that's already done. Let's not beat a dead horse here. Right. What do I do now? Right. But if you go into the next phase with the same mindset you had in the last phase, you're going to make more. You don't borrow your way out of trouble. Of course. And you're thinking about going back to graduate school. You're fleeing to graduate school because it can affect cash flow, right?
One of the reasons I'm considering it at this stage.
But you can't afford to not be working right now. I mean, you've got to have a job. You can't afford to be going to graduate school because you got a debt load.
Oh, I'll do school and work at the same time.
Well, then do 2 jobs. Then do 2 jobs.
Okay.
If you can do 1 job in 1 school, then do 2 jobs because you've got a debt load. I mean, that's the reality of where you are.
Right.
But we've got to fight our way out of this, right?
I want you to start all over and do it the right way. And it's okay to start over. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with taking a baby step backwards
Right.
to take giant steps forward.
Sure.
So what I want you to do is to call the lender and let them know that, A, I do not have a job. So you need to sell your condo at a short sale, which means, for example, if you owe $100,000, you're asking the lender to allow you to sell your condo, for example,
They've said
for
no
about
to that.
$85,000. All righty? And the reason why that first lender, you have 3 loans. I want you to understand the reason why they're not the bad guy. The reason why they're saying no to it is because you owe that first lender, the main lender, a low amount of money. You only owe them a little over $100,000. And you had the equity in your house, but you took it out. And so their attitude is that you've already spent your money. So for them, why should they? Because they know that they can sell that condo at a foreclosure and at least get their 104. Now those other 2 lenders are out there holding the bag.
It's all the same lender.
All loans,
that's
all
good.
3 loans are the
That's
same
good.
lender.
Yes.
That's even worse than because now.
No. I'm saying it's good that you got one
It's a
person to
small
convince.
local bank. I
But you
thought
got
I'd
one
be-
person to convince. You don't have to get 3 people
Right.
in line.
You surely do. So you got one. You need to let them know that you need to have your property because they got 1 or 2 choices. They can take the property back and sell it at auction and get less, and have it abandoned. They don't want that property abandoned right now. And if I were you, what I would do, I would take pictures of everything in there, and I would sell my condo totally furnished.
It's been on the market for 6 months. I've gotten no offers. There's 9.
Has it been on the market as furnished? Because you have items in there right now. I'm telling you, this will really work. Take pictures of it, and then I want you to distribute it to everyone who's actually living there right now. Because someone who's living there might have a cousin, a sister, or a brother. You need to be very active
There's 9
in
units
selling.
in my building that are for sale too, and mine's at an
Okay,
average price.
But
so.
here's what you're saying. And let me be real clear here, because you want to be argumentative about this, which is fine. I mean, say whatever you want. You're the one that bought it.
Right.
You're the one that got the second loan. You're the one that got the third loan. You're the one that created this. We're trying to help you. And you can get pissed off about it if you want to, that you've gone at this from a standpoint where you got some no's. That doesn't mean that you quit asking.
Right.
It means you keep fighting back. And the point is you may have to exit this in some way that now you may owe $120,000. When it's all said and done, you may owe $30,000 and have nothing to show for it, but you've reduced your indebtedness by $90,000. I mean, you can help yourself here, but you're going to have to be willing to go into a liquidation survival mode.
Right.
And if they tell you no, and if that's right, they just say no, they do want you to abandon it, they do want to foreclose it, then that may be the reality of where you are because you can't service it. So what she's telling you is you ask. When they say no, you ask again. And if they finally say, get out of that house and give me the keys, then it's not your option. Then you do walk away from it. But right now, you still have some fight left in you.
Oh, yeah. I was just on the phone with the vice president of the bank on the way here.
And you can give her some talking points to say to that person and let them know the up and down sides of all this. We'll be right back. You can always stop by drphil.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There you'll discover more on today's show and learn life strategies. I'd like to thank all of my guests today, including Marilyn Logan, the money lady, and author of the book, I Can't Afford to Marry You. Please send in your questions at drphil.com, and you can also check out my blog at blog.drphil.com, or you can tweet me on Twitter. Thanks for being here. So long. Today on Dr. Phil.
I was 15 years old. That's when my life changed. I'm 100% sure that he is the man.
You went away for 14 years.
I miss my kids growing up.
I don't understand why. Why did they let him go?
The DNA evidence says this is the wrong guy.
No.
She says, I have seen his face.
Not this face.
If this is the wrong guy, don't you want to know it? Would it help you to talk to him? So you good to go?
I'm scared.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
3, take track.
Go, Dr. Phil. Let's do it. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody have a seat. I want to do a little experiment today. Watch this. All of you were just eyewitness to a crime. That was a bomber on the roof. Can you identify him? We're going to show you a lineup of possible suspects. Now, each member has a Paget gadget underneath your chair, and you can use that to identify who you think may be the bomber. So pick that up. The number on the Paget corresponds with each of the numbers of the suspects that you're going to see in the lineup. So take a look at the lineup and then go ahead and vote. Okay, do you need to see that one more time? Like to see the lineup again? All right, here we go. And obviously, the numbers they're holding correspond to the numbers on your device. So make your selection now. Go ahead and vote. Okay, everybody done? All right, so let's reveal the results. If you picked number 1, you identified an innocent man. Who picked number 1? Okay. How sure are you? Not real? You're very sure? Okay. Number 2, an innocent man. If you picked number 3, raise your hand. Who picked number 3? Well, okay, if you picked any of the men in this lineup, then you picked the wrong guy. Because the real perpetrator is not in the lineup. Who here did not pick someone? Okay, 4 or 5 of you. Now, you can call that a trick if you want, but the point is that remains the case that many jurisdictions across the country do not warn witnesses that the perpetrator might not be in the lineup. What the police have is a suspect, not necessarily the perpetrator. Now, any one of us could be an eyewitness to a crime, but would you remember what the criminal really looked like? Now, if you're the victim of a crime, surely the perpetrator's face would be etched in your memory, or would it? I mean, there's a big question here. Now, Dr. Gary Wells is a professor at Iowa State University, and he's been studying eyewitness accounts for the past 30 years. How unreliable is this?
You know, there are over 250 DNA exoneration cases where juries convicted people of crimes they did not do, and 3 out of every 4 of those are cases of mistaken eyewitness identification.
Okay, 3 out of 4 that are exonerated, those cases, they had an eyewitness that said, that's the guy.
Yes.
And that turns out to be wrong.
And turned out to be wrong.
Okay, but now, isn't it true that like less than 5% of the crimes have DNA evidence?
Well, that's right. I mean, those are the lucky cases, the DNA exoneration cases, because for every case in which there's some DNA that might trump an eyewitness, there are 20 cases in which there's no DNA or no kind of proof that would trump it.
So if there have been 245 DNA exonerations out of 5% of the cases, and you extrapolate that to the other 95% of the cases, there are a lot of innocent people in jail right now.
That's a lot of innocent people, and we don't know how to get them out.
All right, well, we're going to talk more about this as we go along. In fact, every DNA exoneration case involving mistaken identity, the actual perpetrator was not in the lineup that the witness viewed. And that's just what happened with our first guest. Take a look at this.
I was 15 years old. I was on my way to school, and that's when my life changed. I saw a man in the doorway of an apartment building, but then I heard footsteps behind me. I was punched in my left eye and took me by my hair behind an apartment building and down some stairs. I was told if I screamed, he would kill me. I was told to lay on my back. I don't really know exactly what he did down there. All I know is that it hurt, and I just wanted to go home. I was told to pick up some dirt and to rub it on my vaginal area and to rub it on my chest. He told me to stay there. If I got up, he'd kill me. I waited a few seconds after I heard him leave, and then I took off screaming for help. I went to the police station to do an identity sketch. It was computerized. I felt 100% sure that the man that I sketched was the man that I had seen that morning. They had a tip that there was a man that worked at a meat market that resembled my sketch.
I was at work. I heard my name over the intercom. I came to the front and I seen this lady pointing.
I screamed, and I grabbed my detective.
And then 2 guys with suits on walking towards me. And then the next thing I knew, they was putting the handcuffs on me.
That was the man that raped me.
I was like, why is y'all putting the handcuffs on me? Why y'all taking me to the police station? I was really embarrassed and hurt. They put me in a lineup, and then they told me what I was being charged with, criminal sexual assault.
When I found out what the charge was, I was devastated. I think they made a terrible mistake, and I thought it would be resolved real soon. We had been together 2 years prior to Dean getting arrested, and I knew his character.
I stayed in Cook County jail 2.5 years waiting on my trial.
It was hard for me to trust men. I was ashamed.
When I was going through trial, I knew everything was going to be okay. But once the judge said guilty, I just started crying.
The man took away a piece of me that I could never share with somebody. He took my virginity away. Something that I wanted to wait and give to somebody special.
I knew I wasn't this person. I got on my knees, I prayed, watch and protect me, because they had me with people who kill people, people who rape people, gangbangers and drug dealers. It was scary, real scary.
Well, is Dean guilty? Or like some of you in the audience, did Loretta pick the wrong man? Any one of us could end up being an eyewitness to a crime, but are all eyewitness accounts reliable? I mean, that's the question, right? Dean found himself convicted of rape. He says he didn't do it. He says he did not commit that crime. The victim, Loretta, firmly believes that Dean is the man who raped her that cold November morning on her way to school. Dean never gave up on his innocence. He prayed for a miracle. Here's what happened next.
I was in the library. I heard my name over the loudspeaker. Dean Cage, come to the counselor's office. The counselor told me to pack your things, you're going home. I was like, man, quit playing. He said, I ain't playing. They said, your DNA test came back. You were not the person.
I got the news from one of Dean's attorneys. She said, can you come get Dean, like right now? And I said, yeah.
I was on my way to work, and my lawyer told me that he was getting out of jail.
It was a nightmare in there, but it was a blessing to come home.
I thought I was safe, but I don't feel safe anymore.
And I know everything's gonna be all right.
I'm 100% sure that he is the man that raped me.
We heard you make the comment, they called you to the counselor's office. What went through your mind when you walked out those doors?
At this particular time, it was scary because it all happened so fast.
Right. How fast did it happen? I mean, you're in your cell, or you're certainly locked up somewhere. They call you. How soon before you stepped out into the free world?
A couple of hours.
Really? Just bang, bang. Did you ever lose faith?
Oh, never. No.
It never in your mind occurred to you that he had done this?
Never.
Right. What's your emotion about it? I mean, is there anger? Is there sadness? I mean, there's this tremendous loss of time here.
Yeah, it was, because I had lost so much. My mother raised me. My grandparents raised me as well. And I lost both of them when I was in the county. And it hurt me so bad because I couldn't be there to watch them be laid to rest. I miss my kids growing up. It just took a big part of my life away. Everything has changed. The cell phones, they didn't have cell phones when I left. I think the popular thing then was beepers.
Right.
And they didn't have computers or flash screen TVs, or, you know. It was just so much had changed.
You had no criminal record at all?
No, sir.
So they grabbed a hold of you, and you didn't have like burglaries and break-ins, sex crimes, nothing?
Nothing.
How do you feel about this woman that identified you as her rapist? Are you angry with her? What's your emotion about her?
I can't be angry with her because the perpetrator, whoever did this, she had been through a lot as well, right? And it's hard. I guess it's really hard trying to cope with something like this.
Well, here's the thing. Dean has been released, but is it a happy day for everybody? I'm going to talk to Loretta, who endured the unthinkable at age 15, a brutal rape, and it was apparently very brutal. Does she think the wrong man was behind bars, or does she think that her monster is now walking the streets a free man? She at first wanted to conceal her identity on this show, which is why you saw her in the shadows in the beginning. But she changed her mind, and she agreed to sit down and talk to me. We're going to meet her next and find out why she has major doubts about Dean. This man that you believe to be your attacker has been released.
This is the most frightening day of my life. My biggest fear is that he'll come after me. I don't understand why. Why did they let him go?
So how accurate are eyewitness accounts? Now, we just spoke with Dean, a man who was convicted of raping a 15-year-old girl named Loretta. Now, Dean spent 14 years behind bars until DNA testing exonerated him. Now, he was released in May of 2008, but what about the victim? The fact is, Loretta still believes that Dean is the man who raped her and that law enforcement has yet to find a match for her rapist's DNA. Now, I met with Loretta to discuss this very difficult situation she now finds herself in. Loretta, I'm really glad to meet you, but I'm really sorry for the circumstance. I wish we were meeting about a happier subject matter. Tell me why you wanted to be here today and what you hope to accomplish.
I wanted to be here today to see if I can maybe help somebody else, and hopefully I can find closure.
And closure is something that has escaped you thus far, right?
Yes, sir.
And this man that you believe to be your attacker has been released.
Yes.
From prison.
It was the most frightening day of my life. I'm afraid again. My biggest fear is that he'll come after me.
How fresh has all of this come back to you? Because I know it happened, was it 14 years ago?
It happened in 1994.
Okay, it just took you back to that moment in time.
Yes, sir.
I so hate that for you. Did you feel the same things you felt?
I felt like I was in a dream.
Are you having any nightmares about this?
I have a lot of flashbacks.
Tell me about the flashbacks.
I wake up in the middle of the night, and there's times where I think my husband is the person. And there's been a time where I started hitting him, and he'd say, "It's me, it's me, it's me, your husband."
What do you feel in those moments when you wake up?
I think he's there, and I'm afraid that he's there to hurt me.
Do you consider yourself anxious? Do you have anxiety attacks other than the flashbacks?
I'm real careful about my environment, and there's certain times where people may approach me, and I get nervous, and I just freeze.
Mm-hmm. Why did they release him?
They released him because the DNA sample didn't match him. I don't understand why. Why did they let him go? I can't believe it till this day.
When this happened, did you see his face? Did you see it clearly?
Yes.
Well, let me talk to you a little bit about what I want to do. The first thing I have to get said, you have not and cannot do anything wrong in this situation. How you reacted to it at the time wasn't wrong. How you've reacted to it since was not wrong. The fact that you're having more intense flashbacks or nightmares or thoughts about this is not wrong. There are very few times in life when there's just not anything that you can do that would be wrong. And this is one of those times, because I'm going to tell you, the worst thing that can ever happen is when a victim gets victimized. And you are clearly a victim here. You didn't do anything to bring this rape on at the time. What you did is you stayed alive. You could have made other decisions and wound up dead, but you survived. I just hope you realize how strong and courageous you've been through this whole thing. Do you get that?
I try.
Why is that hard for you to hear me say?
Because I don't feel like it. I'm ashamed of myself. I feel like I did wrong, especially with him getting out.
Oh, Loretta, listen, you did nothing wrong here. I am so glad you're here today, because I want you to use your life like you're doing. And so many are going to be inspired by you and moved by you. That is such a great thing. You be proud of who you are and what you've overcome. Now, I think there are some things that have not been completed with you yet, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. But you have 3 children, right?
I have 4.
4? Well, 3 of them wrote me letters. I want you to hear those, okay?
Dear Dr. Phil, I am 11 years old. I am writing to express my feelings about my mom getting hurt. When I think about it or see her cry, I cry.
I am 6 years old. I wish the police did not let him go. I am afraid he will hurt her again.
She is the best and most beautiful thing in the world, and it's my mom, and I love her.
I wish I could see my mom happy again.
I wish I could see my mom happy again. We need to get back to that place, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you entertained the thought in your mind that they had the wrong man in jail? Well, up next, a very frightening truth that Loretta must now face. Will she be able to? That's next. This DNA evidence was sent to 2 independent labs, and the question was, does this rule out this man as being the person that was there?
No.
We're talking about eyewitness accounts today and how they are often unreliable. Now, Dean Cage spent 14 years behind bars for a rape that he did not commit. He was exonerated just last year when DNA excluded him. The victim, Loretta, is having a very difficult time understanding that Dean is not her rapist. Now, here's more of my interview with her. Have you entertained the thought in your mind that they had the wrong man in jail?
No, sir.
Doesn't even occur to you. Tell me why.
I've seen his face as clear as can be. I don't believe it.
Well, my goal is to help you personally, to support you, to do anything I can to get you to the point that you get to be all of who you are, that these kids get all of their mom. And the only way to do that is to heal. You'll never forget what happened to you, but it doesn't need to be raw either. If the person they're letting out of jail is an innocent man, I'm not saying you believe he is, but if he is, just be hypothetical with me for a minute. You would want him to be free, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, if he's not the guy.
Yes, sir.
Because here's what I want to tell you. Before I started doing the Oprah show 12 or 13 years ago, I worked in the court systems, and DNA evidence is a powerful, powerful thing. You get that, right?
Yes, sir.
And at the time that this happened to you, it was pretty much in its infancy. But the DNA technology has advanced in an astounding way. And this DNA evidence was sent to 2 independent labs. And the question was, does this rule out this man as being the person that was there? And both of those labs independently came back and said this man was not there. They said that had he been there, had he touched you, there was enough there to identify him. And the exclusion of him was 100%. I have to tell you, with all of my years of experience and all of my time in the litigation arena, the experts that I've debriefed in this situation, the study that I've done of the sample that was taken here, and all of the analysis that was completed, this man was innocent.
No.
So what do you think after watching that, Dean? She thinks it's you. She says, I have seen his face.
Not this face. Not this face.
Dr. Wells, this is not a strange scenario for you.
No, it's not. Generally speaking, once a mistaken identification happens, the face of the person who was mistakenly identified tends to become the witness's memory. And so what she's really remembering at this point is not back from the crime scene, not back from the time when she's raped, but the memory she has is of the person she identified.
All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, Loretta is adamant that Dean is the man who raped her. Is the truth that an innocent man was convicted of her rape just too much for her to bear? Think about it. I mean, everything that's going on with her, if she's wrong, what does that mean? We'll be right back.
I just go back to thinking I did something wrong.
What did you do wrong? We're talking about how any of us could be an eyewitness to a crime and possibly end up identifying someone that we believe is a perpetrator when maybe they're not. It doesn't mean that you can't ever trust what you see, but I do want us to recognize that, you know, we always hear you can have an accident and 5 eyewitnesses give 5 different versions. It's not perfect. Imagine being brutally raped at 15 years old, believing that you helped get that monster behind bars, only to find out 14 years later that DNA says he's not the guy. That's a lot to wrap your mind around, to say the least. And that is exactly what's happening here with Loretta. Here's more of my interview with this young woman. I have to tell you, with all of my years of experience and all of my time in the litigation arena, the experts that I've debriefed in this situation, the study that I've done of the sample that was taken here, and all of the analysis that was completed, this man was innocent.
No.
Loretta, what if it was someone that looked like him?
I was there. I touched his face.
Now look at me now. I wasn't there. I didn't see what you saw. And I don't think that there is a doubt in your mind. But this DNA evidence taken from your body did not have him in it. There's no way that he could have touched you and not left a biomolecule. It's just not possible. If this is the wrong guy, I'm not saying you believe he is, okay? I know. But if this is the wrong guy, don't you want to know it?
Yes.
Because he went to prison when he shouldn't have. And more important, the real perpetrator hasn't paid yet for what he did to you. And if that's true, then we need to find him. When you went to the meat market and you looked at these suspects, this was the last person you looked at, right?
Yes, sir.
And didn't they also tell you, we're taking you over here because there could be somebody in here that looks like your sketch?
Yes, sir.
There's also evidence in the psychological science of perception that once somebody creates a sketch, that replaces the image they had in their brain. This DNA evidence excludes this man with 100% accuracy.
I don't believe it.
How could the DNA be wrong?
They weren't as careful with DNA samples back then like they are now. I don't believe it.
They have his DNA, you get that, right? If they found someone in the system that it did match, how would you feel then?
If they found somebody, I would feel excited. But it goes back to saying that I did something wrong.
You didn't do anything wrong. You can't do anything wrong. I mean, I covered this before we started because this ain't my first rodeo. And I knew where you were going with this, and anybody would. You didn't do anything wrong. You told the truth as you know it and see it every step of the way. You did what you believed to be true at the time, and still believe to be true, I can clearly see.
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you're thinking.
I just go back to thinking I did something wrong.
What did you do wrong?
Telling the truth, look where it got me. Thinking I did the right thing.
But Loretta, you did tell the truth, and you did do the right thing. You were the victim of a horrible, violent crime. They asked you for the best information you had, and you gave it to them. If in fact this is the wrong guy, I'm sorry for him, but all you can do is answer questions truthfully. And people ask you what you think. You tell them what you think. This man that's been let out of prison seems to have exactly that attitude. His attitude is, I don't think anybody's out to get me. I mean, people just said what they believed to be true. Interestingly enough, he's not mad at anybody, really. He just says, I'm just glad I'm out, because I didn't do it. And with proper controls and constraints, would it help you to talk to him? Well, that's a huge question, right? I mean, if she believes that Dean is the monster that brutally raped her, the last thing she wants to do is come face to face with him ever again. And the question is she going to turn loose of her belief and try to move forward here, or is she not? We'll find out when we come back. I think it would help for you to talk to him. I think it would help you get closure on this whole situation. Tomorrow, he's going to be here. Will you think about it? Well, Dean Cage spent 14 years behind bars for the rape of a 15-year-old girl named Loretta. Now, it was May of last year that Dean was exonerated due to DNA. Now, Loretta was told over the phone that Dean was free. And now, as I spoke to her, you could see the emotional roller coaster that this whirlwind of information was putting on her, because understand here, she believes he's the person. He's now out, which she thinks puts her in harm's way. I'm telling her that the DNA has exonerated Dean. Now, if that's true, how guilty do you feel for causing an innocent man to spend 14 years of his life behind bars? This is overwhelming. Take a look at a little bit more of my conversation. With proper controls and constraints, would it help you to talk to him? Would you be afraid to talk? He's not here, by the way. I'm not getting ready to have him walk in the door or anything. But at some point, do you think it would help you to talk to him?
No, sir.
Okay, then I only want to help you. So if it wouldn't help you, then I wouldn't want you to do it.
I just keep going back that I did wrong.
You have nothing to be ashamed of. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. If you were wrong, it was an honest mistake. You answered the questions you were asked. You told the truth as you saw it. And I think it would help for you to talk to him. He does not have one iota of anger at you whatsoever. He just feels terrible that you're afraid of him. He hates that for you, that you are afraid that there's some monster out there that will hurt you. Because he's saying, I never hurt her, I'll never will hurt her. I think it would help you to talk to him. I think it would help you get closure on this whole situation. Tomorrow, he's going to be here. Will you think about it?
I'd have to talk it over with my husband.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You'll think about it. Talk about it. And if you think it's not productive, then don't do it. But I think it would be helpful. And so y'all discuss it privately. I do think it might help you for no other reason than to maybe see him in a different light. It might be a healing thing for you and for him. I don't know. But I would like you to think about it. Listen, if you do, I will be right there with you. You will not be unsafe in any way whatsoever. There's also going to be a DNA expert here tomorrow. And if you get home and think of any questions you want to write down, I'd like for you to talk to him. I want to get you all the information you can. I want to be sure we're dealing with the facts and then help you start moving forward with this.
Yes, sir.
Because you've paid enough. It's time for you to get some closure on this and just have some joy with your husband and your family. Isn't it time? I would love for you to go home from here knowing that if you accept that this is the wrong man, that you and he are at peace and you have no shame, you have no guilt. And I think that's what you would come away from this with. I think he would tell you, look, you and me are okay. And I think you need to hear that if you can accept that this is not the man.
Yes, sir.
This is a decision for a husband and a wife to make. And I will support whatever decision you make. And then I want to really get busy helping you get a grip on this.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. I hope this wasn't too hard.
No.
Okay. Well, you've seen and heard her speak. What do you think of her?
I could see that she's afraid. I feel bad the way she feels because she still thinks I'm this person that I'm not. And I would like for her to get a closure in all of this. But I'm a victim in this as well.
Oh, I'll say you are. 14 years of your life have been taken away from you. I can't even wrap my mind around the unfairness that you have experienced in this, Dean. It's just, I have a hard time wrapping my mind around that. I am so impressed that you're not just fighting, spitting, angry, mad about this whole thing. You seem to have a peace about you about this that I have to tell you is very impressive. But I think you have a great attitude about this, and you are clearly a victim here. 14 years of your life, that's not okay. And I am so sorry. I am so sorry that that's happened to you. I'm so sorry that it's happened to you. It's just tragic. You know, you have children involved here that you haven't been able to be there for. You have so much time with Jewel and with your family, and just your rights and your liberties being taken away. It's just, I am so sorry for that. I don't think she's an evil young woman. I think you're right about that. And I don't know whether she's willing to talk to you or you're willing to talk to her. I got this far. I was able to get her to stay in town and to be here. And I would love for the two of you to sit together and talk about this experience in your life. Are you willing to do that?
I could do that.
You're willing to sit and talk to her? I tell you, is this guy amazing? I mean, seriously.
Next time.
Loretta still believes Dean is guilty.
She put an innocent man away.
So you good to go?
I'm scared.
Now she's facing him for the first time. What will happen when they finally meet?
Tell me what you're thinking and feeling right now.
That's next time.
There's nothing but victims in this situation. She was brutally raped, and at 15 years of age, just on her way to school. What a terrible, terrible tragedy. And then this man, 14 years in prison for something he didn't do. Just nothing but victims in this situation. Thanks, Dr. Wells. I hope you'll stay with us, and Dean, we'll be back with you and Jewel here just very, very quickly. Thank you to Paget Communications for letting us use the audience response system on today's show. Thanks for being here. So long.
Today on Dr. Phil.
your holiday checklist.
The top 10 biggest holiday questions.
Who have you regifted to?
My daughter, my daughters-in-law, co-workers, my husband.
Conflicts at Christmas.
So you don't want to go to his place?
I'd rather be with my family.
When she's with your family, she's texting her family.
How much to give the people who help you the most.
Suggested dollar amounts and gifts for virtually everyone that you might need to tip.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I know things are tough out there, but we can do this. If it matters to you, that's what I want to talk about.
10 seconds to air.
Love you.
Well, thank you. This is going to be a changing day in your life.
Ready, camera 5.
3, take track.
Go, Dr. Phil. Let's do it. How are you? How you doing? Well, we are in the middle of the holiday season, right? And Christmas is just around the corner. Now, you know what that means. Santa Claus may be coming to town, but so are your in-laws. Gifts you have absolutely no use for, overly intoxicated uncles and coworkers. Not sure how you're going to handle all of the end-of-the-year stress? Well, that is no problem, because today I've got your holiday checklist. All right? Now, you're going to love this. You're just going to love it. Now, here to help us out, because I do need help on this, is the queen of etiquette, Peggy Post. Say hello to Peggy. We're going to be figuring out how to split time between your relatives, how much to spend on gifts, who you maybe should give a gift to, thank you notes, holiday parties, kids' questions about Santa, and so much more. And we'll see how all of you do, because everyone in the audience today is going to be giving their opinion as well. They all have pageant gadgets, so they can weigh in throughout the show. All right, everybody have a seat, and I'm going to pull my first question right here from the tree. Okay, Charlene asked a very interesting question. She says, is it right to re-gift?
I admit it, Dr. Phil. I re-gift presents all the time. I have been re-gifting as long as I can remember. Have you ever received multiples of something at Christmas, or something you just couldn't use, or wasn't exactly you, or not your color? Instead of sticking it in the back of the closet and forgetting about it, stick it in the back of the closet in the re-gift box. Let me share with you some of the things I have. Mugs, picture frames, crystal glassware, even notepads. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 8, 9 candles, ornaments, beanie babies. Let's see what's in this one. Hand towels. 1, 2, 3, 4. Socks. Who doesn't love cute socks? 15 bath soaps. Look, this one's already wrapped, ready to go. Dr. Phil, is there anything wrong with regifting?
So you're a big regifter?
Oh yeah, all year round.
You don't just keep the good stuff and give away the crummy stuff.
No, I'll give away good stuff.
What's the worst thing you've ever regifted?
The worst thing, really bad smelling, lotion.
Who'd you give it to?
Mom.
How you doing, Mom?
Hi, Mom.
All right, now one of my producers, Justin, I want to add him to this conversation because he learned the hard way that not everyone appreciates getting a re-gift. Take a look at this.
Every year I go to a holiday party where we have a secret Santa. 2 years ago, I received this gift. It was coasters that you put a photo in. But when I got home, I was like, I don't really like this gift.
The next year, I went to a Christmas party with the same exact people. At the last minute, I remembered I needed to bring a gift.
So I remember having these coasters. So I brought them to the party, and lo and behold, somebody opens up the coasters that I brought. It just happens to be the person that brought them the year before. And of course, you remember that I received them. And I tried to tell her, no, I like them so much that I went out and bought them. So I thought I would bring them back for somebody else to enjoy. She didn't buy that for one bit.
You are so busted. You are so busted.
I don't think I did anything wrong. If
You
it
were
wasn't
kind
good
of
enough
in the
for her to
shadows
receive
there.
it.
Here, why don't you come up here? You were kind of in the shadows there. No, I'm gonna. Here, take my seat.
I've been wanting to do this for 8 years.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll sit down here with Peggy. What are we gonna do with these guys? Now, you got busted, right?
I got busted. I don't think I did anything wrong, because if it wasn't good enough for her to receive it, she shouldn't have given it in the first place.
All right, so, but then you lied on top of it.
Yeah, because she looked like she hurt her feelings, so I tried to get out of it, but she's smart enough to know that.
So that didn't work either. Have you ever been confronted about regifting?
No, I'm sure I will be when I get back home.
Yeah, because you're... Who have you regifted to? Your mom, we know
My
that.
mom, my daughter, my daughters-in-law, co-workers, my husband.
What did you regift your husband?
Some lotion. I'm a teacher, and as a teacher, you receive a lot of lotion, a lot of bath soap. You can only be so clean and only smell so good.
Okay, so you've now alienated your entire family and all of your students' parents. All right, before you weigh in, I want to see what the audience thinks. Everybody get under your chair. You have a Paget gadget. Do I have one? Oh, I do. Okay, here's the question. Do you think it's okay to regift? Press 1 if you say yes, and 2 if you say no. Wait, now before you press, be honest. This is anonymous, so you don't have to worry. So let's have the results. 27, no way. Oh. All right, Peggy, what's the scoop? What do you say about this?
Okay, this
then I'll
is
tell you all how I voted.
a complex situation here. First of all, honesty is what we're talking about. And for that reason, at the Emily Post Institute, we do not recommend regifting. However, with people having so much stuff these days, with the economy being what it is, we are realistic, and we know that so many people do regift. So if you're going to do it, when in doubt, don't regift, and rarely regift. Don't do it all the time. Okay, so first of all, make sure it's really something you think the recipient would like to have. Try to match up that gift for someone. Don't give them a cast-off. And that's really key. Secondly, you don't want to hurt feelings, and that's really crucial here. If you think they're going to see each other, if you're going to hurt feelings, don't go there.
But at a holiday party when it didn't matter and the other people that I know come every year like the gift, I didn't see a problem with giving it back and hoping one of them would get it back to enjoy it.
Right. But
right?
Yeah, so how'd that work for you, Justin?
It didn't work at all, but I got a good gift that year, so it was okay.
And lastly, there's some good ways of regifting, and that is do it honestly. I received 2 books recently, and I gave one to my mother-in-law. I didn't wrap it up and pass it off as a birthday or a holiday gift. I just said, I received 2 books, and I'd love for you to have one. That's honest regifting, or give it to charity.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, but we got another question I want you to weigh in on.
Okay.
By the way, I punched 1. I said it's okay to regift under certain circumstances. Yeah. So
I wonder what Robin's.
No, you don't regift, do you?
No, I don't regift.
Because you're chicken, or you don't think it's right?
Well, I will never admit it right now.
All right, I recently got an email from Julie who had a good question about thank you cards. She wants to know, if you thank someone in person for a gift, do you have to send them a thank you card? Studio audience, press 1 for yes and 2 for no. All right, what are the results? Oh, 81% say no.
The have to is the trick there. And if it's a wedding gift, you do have to. And if it's a gift that a child receives, I'm an advocate of teaching your child to write thank you notes. So go there, help the child. But technically, if you give someone a gift, they thank you in person, then that's enough.
When we come back, if you're sick of fighting with your spouse about whose family you spend the holidays with, I want to help you settle that dispute once and for all. We'll be right back.
If I had it my way, we would spend Christmas Eve here with my family.
This is my family's home. This is where I want to spend Christmas Eve every year.
Tony and I fight when we're trying to decide where we're going to spend Christmas Eve. Christmas isn't even fun anymore.
All right, today we're going over our holiday checklist and helping you navigate some of the biggest dilemmas we're faced with this time of year. Now, my next question, this is a doozy from Violet and Tony. They want to know how they can compromise about whose family to spend the holidays with. Take a look at this.
Tony and I fight every year when we're trying to decide where we're going to spend Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve is very stressful.
We both want to celebrate with our families.
We've tried going to both parents' homes.
When we're at my mother-in-law's home, I'm usually texting my cousins.
I think that's one of the things that really gets me angry and just Ticks me off.
I'm just really anxious to leave.
I just want to break that phone.
When we're at my parents', I realize that he's watching the clock when he comes and tells me, oh, it's 8 o'clock, we gotta go to my mom's. He's never on time with anything else.
There's no compromise.
Christmas isn't even fun anymore because there's always this constant tension between us.
Conflict of Christmas makes me feel like not even celebrating it.
Dr. Phil, can you help us find a compromise so that we can spend Christmas Eve with both sides of the family?
All right, so what's your plan for this year? Do you have one?
Just go with the flow like we do every year.
Yeah, but that's not working, right? I mean, because this turns out to be resentment time. Yeah, but he says if you go to your family first, you agree to stay there till 9, and then you want to stay till later.
Right, because everyone shows up late.
And then he says, okay, if I give you an inch, she takes a mile, right?
Right.
And so would you stay there and just totally rip his family off? Just not show up at all?
I would.
You would. So you don't want to go to his place?
I don't, well, I do, but not.
They're watching.
No, I know. I know. I'd rather be with my family than with his family, not because I have anything against them. I love them, but I would just rather, I'm probably just being selfish.
You say when she's with your family, she's texting her family.
Yeah, she's just there, you know, she walks with her lower lip up into the door and just pouting and kicking her feet, and then she sits there and texts and just doesn't give the time or
well, it sounds like y'all are at least brokering this maturely.
Yeah.
No. We both know that we're upset and irritated with each other, so I don't think anyone else notices it, but he knows me well enough to know. I don't sit there like this, but I'm sitting there like by myself, yeah.
At a Christmas celebration.
Yeah, because my mother-in-law is always in the kitchen and she doesn't like me to help her, so she just wants me to just.
Okay, now don't dig a new hole here.
I know.
This is the time for peace. I feel like I'm stating the obvious here, but can you not do Christmas Eve at one house and Christmas morning at the next, or 1 year with your family and you just stay there till midnight, and the next year with his family and you just pout every other year that way? I mean,
I suggested that, but Christmas Eve is his birthday, so I wanted Christmas Eve with my family because I just did, and his mom wants us to. His mom wants us to go over there Christmas morning and open presents, so I figured, I don't know.
So how do y'all get along the other 51 weeks of the year?
We're good.
You're good? That bad, huh?
We're okay.
No, I mean, seriously, do y'all get along pretty well?
Yeah.
For the most part.
We're obviously going to have to bring you back for another.
We don't argue, just disagree.
Clearly, this isn't working, right? Right. Clearly, this isn't working. So, despite the fact that it's his birthday, he seems like a flexible guy to me. You've got to figure out some kind of way where you have a birthday celebration a day early or earlier in the day. You flip-flop holidays between the families. You simply can't be in two places at once. So you have to negotiate something and then have the emotional integrity to live with it. Right. You got to stick with it. If you say we're going to be here till 9 o'clock, at 9 o'clock you got to leave with a happy spirit. And you got to go and be participative when you get there. And you've got to be participative when you're at her house. It's a gift. The gift that you can give to each other is the support and good spirit when you're with one another's family. Nothing is more of a buzzkill than somebody who's sitting around pouting when they ought to be having fun.
It's bad enough I get one present that says Happy Birthday and Merry Christmas.
Don't even go there. My wife was born on December 28th. And so her parents, her whole life said, now that last present's your birthday present. You're not over that yet, are you?
I'm not over that yet. And I had a twin brother, so I had to share my birthday, which was great. We're very close. But they would leave a gift under the tree and say, don't touch that for another 3 days.
See, now you got her started. You only thought you had trouble here. You get her started on this. No, seriously. You've got to listen. The whole idea is what spirit you go into it with. Seriously, and you're willing to celebrate your birthday differently, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're 31. It's not like you're going to like have a clown come and all of that. I also got an email from Anna who asked, when attending holiday parties, do you have to bring the host a gift? So let's ask the studio audience that. Pick up your Padgett gadget. All right, press 1 if you say, yes, I should take a gift to the holiday host. And 2, no, you don't really need to do that. Okay, what are the results here? Everybody voted? Give me the scoop. Oh, wow, now that surprises me. 59% say yes. I would have thought it would have been like 100%. Peggy, what's the scoop?
Well, the scoop is the words there, have to. It's a great thing to do, and a lot of it depends upon where you live and what's customary, and also what the party is. If it's a small party, then I would recommend you take a gift. If it's a dinner party, also take a gift. But if it's a large reception, kind of a holiday cocktail kind of party, then it's optional.
I'm surprised that 41% of the people said no. Good Lord, Robin would bring a gift if she stopped by to use the phone.
Right.
All right, up next, it's a parent's alert. Listen up. We're going to talk about Santa when we come back, and when to, shall we say, impart the next level of understanding. So if you have a kitty in the room, you might want to have them go play with a puzzle or something. We're going to talk about the big guy when we come back. Well, today we're talking about those tricky etiquette dilemmas that come up during the holidays. Now, for this next question, you might want your young kids to leave the room. Before the break, I said we're going to talk about a central figure during the holidays. Now, I recently got a letter from Melody who says she wants to tell her sons that there is no such thing as Santa Claus. She wants my advice on how to handle this situation. Take a look.
I want to tell my boys that there isn't a Santa Claus. I want my children to know that my husband and I work hard for the gifts that we have given them, and that it doesn't have anything to do with Santa Claus. My son informed me that when we saw Santa Claus in the mall, that he gave him his list. He wants a Nintendo DS, he wants G.I. Joe action figures, the monster trucks, a bicycle. The list goes on and on. I want my children to realize that they really don't need all those gifts. Dr. Phil, how do I tell my children that there is no Santa Claus without ruining their Christmas?
Okay, what's the big driver here? You took a trip, right? A missionary trip, and it was a contrast for what you saw there plus what you have at home.
I learned a lot. I guess the main thing is my children and just in general as an American, we can do without a lot of things. There are a lot of things that we think that we need that we really don't.
You're giving me kind of two messages. You're saying, you know, like, I don't want children that are unappreciative and don't get it.
Right.
But then you're also saying, I want to be sure that they understand we're the ones giving it to them and not Santa Claus. So is it both or which, or am I confused?
Well, I guess the main thing is I don't feel comfortable lying to my children, and I want them to know that, you know, the gifts weren't free. You know, somebody had to work for them, and I guess lying is the main issue for me.
But is there anything negative when a child doesn't have conceptual abilities to have a figure, a concrete figure that represents love and caring and giving?
I
mean, is that offensive to your sensibilities?
No, not at all.
Because you're saying, well, we're teaching them a lie.
No, I've never actually told them, to be honest with you, that there was, but I've never told them that there wasn't. And recently my son just asked me if there was.
What did he ask you exactly?
He said, well, Mommy, a little boy at school told me, you know, my friend said that Santa Claus isn't real. And he sounded devastated, and I didn't know how to handle that.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you how I want you to handle that, and I want to hear what Peggy has to say. Let's get the audience to weigh in on this. What's the right age to tell the kids the truth about Santa? Now grab your Padgett gadget. Let's see the results. All right, 47% on their own. So, Peggy, what do you think about that?
I'm not at all surprised. And it is such a magical statement, Santa is. And I think it's great to let a child believe in Santa until that turning point, until someone at school or older sibling or somebody asks them. That's when you go into the not lying part.
And you've gotten a clue here. And see, and I think generally speaking, what we need to do is watch our kids for clues, because they'll start saying, I know for us, I remember we got Jay a stereo, and it was in a little cabinet with 4 wheels, and I rolled it out of our closet, and it left tracks. And when we rolled it into his room, he looked at those tracks, and he looked at those tracks, and there weren't any from the fireplace. And so, you know, he was kind of looking at us, and
I had been telling him for 2 weeks, don't look in Daddy's closet.
yeah. Well, you didn't tell me that.
Then you rolled it out there, and I put a big sign from Santa on there.
And Jay's 30 now, and this was what, last Christmas or the Christmas?
2 years ago.
No. When a child has enough reasoning ability to challenge a belief, certainly do not lie to them. At that point, say, well, let me sound and tell you, Mom and Dad are really Santa Claus, and we love being Santa Claus. And if you have younger children, let them kind of help and do some of the things, so now they feel like they're part of it. And so I guess a cynic will say, oh yeah, draw them into your conspiracy of the red man. You know, I mean, now this year especially, so many parents are wondering how to explain to their children that they might not be getting as many Christmas presents this year as they have been in the past because money is tight. Now, Myra is one of those parents. Take a look.
My family has had a difficult year this year. My husband was laid off at his work. We're not rich, we never have been, but we've always been able to give our son a decent Christmas. I've told my son that he might not be able to receive the amount of gifts he usually does, and he doesn't understand why. He told me, but Mom, Santa makes the toys, so why can't I get the gifts that I'm supposed to get? And I told him he has to provide for other children. It breaks my heart not to be able to give my son the presents that he wants. My son asked for a Wii, a Transformer, and a lot of other things. This year we're only going to be able to buy him one present. How can I tell my son that we cannot afford the same Christmas as we had last year?
And this is a tough time for so many people, but I have to tell you that that's not all bad. I think there's a silver lining to every cloud, and this is a teachable moment in children's lives. I think it's really important to sit down with a child, even a young child, and if they know enough to be asking a few questions like this isn't his first clue that this is a more difficult year than others, true?
Right.
It is a teachable moment where you have to sit down and say, look, sometimes there are some years that everybody, and if you want to continue with Santa and everyone else, has to spend money in different ways. Like right now, there are a lot of people whose parents have lost their jobs. So if you want to say Santa's having to step up and do more things there, so less for other children. Or if you want to say, look, it's time you understand, then let them know. But you have to talk so much about the fact that it's really not about receiving at Christmas. Now, actually, Robin this year has a new book that's just been released called Christmas in My Home and Heart. And it's filled with lots of great holiday ideas. In fact, she even has a section on how to do Christmas on a budget. Talk about a few of the things you talk about in there, because people just need ideas.
Yeah, you know, I think some of my favorite memories are from the Christmases where I didn't go out and spend a lot of money. I love homemade ornaments. My sister took a family photo of us when we were very young, decoupaged it on an ornament, and I love taking that out. One sister makes the best cinnamon rolls. She sends those to us. I think it's very important sometimes to suggest drawing names within the family, and everyone just is required to buy one gift, and it has a limit, a price limit that we can all agree on. I think gift certificates for chores with friends or with family. For instance, you can offer to drive one of your friends carpool. That is a fantastic gift for a busy mother. I think that you can trade out babysitting. You can trade out meals once a month. Anything that is a true joy for another woman. I love playing up the stocking stuffers instead of the gifts under the tree, because you can really fill the children's stockings with inexpensive gifts and make it a lot of fun to get into the stocking stuffer and maybe not have as many gifts under the tree. And I love one for all the women to get together during the day and maybe have a potluck luncheon where you exchange an ornament, you bring your favorite recipe, or even have everything chocolate and serve champagne. So you can have a lot of fun within your friends during the day. So you don't have to spend a lot of money doing that.
What I like most about the messages you're giving is that it gets people involved with other people. The potluck things, the trading out babysitting, things like that. It's just great. We were talking to our friends at Western Union about Myra's dilemma, and they wanted to do something special for her. So they wanted to give you a Visa gift card for the holidays worth $500. Okay? JCPenney heard about this same thing, and they want to give you a $500 gift card as well. JCPenney is a one-stop shopping destination for all of your holiday needs, whether it's toys for the kids or tableware for holiday settings, fashion pieces for your parties or under the tree. And so we wanted to share that with you all. Take a look. I know it's a tough year, so I wanted to share that with you.
I appreciate that.
Now, I don't know if you knew that a recent Western Union survey found that the #1 holiday gift of choice, 56% of Americans, is cash. Think about that. And since this holiday season is all about giving, everybody in the studio audience is going home with a $100 gift card from Western Union. And a $250 gift card from JCPenney. Spend it wisely and share with those who aren't in the audience today, but y'all picked a good day to come. All right, next we're going to talk about how to handle rude dinner guests and intoxicated coworkers. Boy, do we need Peggy Post for this one. We'll be right back. Well, we're dealing with holiday etiquette today. Now, here's a question that I get all the time. Do you have to buy a gift for someone just because they bought one for you? Get your Paget gadget. 1 for yes, 2 for no. All right, let's look at the results. Yes. Okay, is that because you would feel guilty? Yeah. Peggy, what do you think?
The answer is no, really. You don't have to, but most people do feel uncomfortable. So a lot of people will go out and either say, oh, I don't have yours yet, or they might have that gift closet and have something that they think the person would like. But the bottom line is you don't have to. But
some people like to have a whole closet full of
right,
stuff.
Right, exactly.
All right, my next question comes from Angela, who says a friend of hers posted a rude comment about her holiday dinner on Facebook. Take a look.
Dear Dr. Phil, my husband and I have been reading about fried turkey dishes that were getting rave reviews. I invited a friend and her family to my home for Thanksgiving dinner. I was so excited I posted the following on Facebook. We just purchased a deep fryer and we're frying the turkey this year. And the friend I invited replied, disgusting. So I responded, okay, but not as disgusting as your manners. Apparently this upset her enough to reply, I think I will keep me and my bad manners home. I was very upset and insulted after reading that. I feel this friendship has been damaged by this petty incident. Dr. Phil, was it okay for me to tell my friend I thought she was being rude, or should I have kept my mouth shut? Sincerely, Angela.
Angela is on the phone. Angela, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So how do you feel about how it wound up? Was the last communique, I think I'll just keep my bad manners at home?
And I decided to send her a private email, and I did explain to her, you know, that hurt my feelings, what you said. And it took her a while to say, well, I was only kidding.
I will say this. One of I think emails and that sort of thing are very expeditious, but you lose intonation. You lose tongue-in-cheek. You lose a lot of things that would be there otherwise. What do you say, Peggy?
Well, first of all, I agree with you 100%. In a situation like this, pick up the phone, talk to the person face-to-face instead of emailing right back. But also, cool down. Instead of replying so quickly when you're upset, take a deep breath, calm down a bit, and then talk to your friend. And it's all, instead of going on the attack and saying, you're being rude, to say, you know, that really hurt my feelings.
Well, Angela, I love the fact that you said to her, you hurt my feelings. I mean, she did pick up and talk to her, and And I think you did the right thing. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right, now Facebook isn't the only place you can embarrass yourself this holiday season. Check out this question from Barbara about the office holiday party.
I work at a law firm, and last year we had a Christmas party at a really nice hotel. And there was a bar and a dance floor. Later in the evening, people had more drinks and got loose, and women were hanging on women, and eventually one of the women lost a part of her dress and was exposed. To see her down in the lunchroom was uncomfortable, and I didn't know, should I say something? Should I laugh about it? It's really uncomfortable for me. My question is, how do I react to someone who's acted inappropriately at a Christmas party when I see them in the office the next day?
Was the inappropriateness that she had a wardrobe malfunction?
Pretty much.
It wasn't anything she said or did to you?
Oh, no.
Okay, so you were just there and got to know her better than you planned?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, okay. Because that's different. I think if somebody is really rude and inappropriate to you, those people, I think you do need to kind of pull them aside and say, look, that wasn't okay, and we need to rebalance this thing, because I think boundaries are important, and you crossed one, and I just need to tell you that's not okay. You don't do it in front of people. You pull them aside. You try to help them with it. In this kind of situation where somebody was, this is kind of the old thought of dancing on a table with a lampshade on their head. How do you handle that?
Well, if you think you are uncomfortable, I'm sure that person was even more uncomfortable. So if it's a good friend, somebody you know well, then you could help them out by saying, you know, let's talk about last night or next year's party. I'd love to help you out so it doesn't get to that. But if it's not a good friend, don't go there. If you're the supervisor, you do need to chat constructively about that kind of behavior, but don't gossip about the person, and pretty soon things will calm down.
It actually brings up a good question that we have for the Paget Gadget. How much is okay to drink at the office holiday party? So audience, pick up your Paget Gadgets. Press 1 if you think you shouldn't drink at all. 2 if you think 1 or 2 drinks is appropriate. And 3 if you think, look, I can handle my liquor. I don't need to keep count. I can have at least 3. So everybody vote, 1, 2, or 3. All right, let's see the results. 1 or 2 kind of won out. So Peggy, what do you tell people in advance so they don't wind up at a Christmas party, the object of this discussion the day after?
We say it's a business function. Any doubt, don't drink at all. Most people will say 1 or 2 drinks is fine for them, but it's really important to remember it's still a business function, even if it's a social function as well, because these parties can hurt careers. So when in doubt, no drinking. 1 or 2 drinks most people will do, just like the survey said.
Jobs are hard to come by right now. You don't want to drink yours away because you're letting stress go. You're thinking, oh boy, I'm going to really let my hair down now. And next thing you know, you're letting more than your hair down, right? That's the problem. All right, when we come back, the do's and don'ts of Christmas letters. And later, everything you need to know about holiday tipping. We'll be right back.
Dear Dr. Phil, my daughter doesn't want Christmas presents this year. Don't get me wrong, she wants presents, but she wants Hanukkah presents. When she heard her Jewish friends got presents for 8 days, she decided she'd rather celebrate Hanukkah. Dr. Phil, we're not Jewish. What do I tell her? Oy vey. Sincerely, Kelly.
Well, today we're going through our holiday checklist and solving your Christmas time conundrums. Now, that was Kelly, whose daughter wants to celebrate Hanukkah even though they're not Jewish. And you said, what do I tell her? How about no? How about no? We're not changing faith, so you get more toys. All right, another great question I got from Rosemary, who emailed me about her mother-in-law's annual Christmas letter. She writes every year, my mother-in-law sends out a Christmas letter which details not only our lives, but the lives of our children. I have asked her to remove us from the letter, but she just keeps sticking us in there. How do we keep our business private without hurting my mother-in-law's feelings? So, Robin, what do you say about this? You talked about this in your book, and then I'm going to get Peggy to tell me what to tell her.
Yeah, you know what? I really believe that when you do send out a letter, you should keep it short and simple. That not everyone wants to know about everyone's kidney stones or gallbladder, and you certainly don't want to tell that on your own family members. You need to not write this big memoir. It's just short and sweet, and it's all positive.
All right, so you say keep it brief, don't write a memoir.
Right.
Your next do is share the year's highlights, but don't exaggerate. I mean, what do you mean?
Well, exactly. You want to share positive things, and you want to tell the happy things, but don't exaggerate or don't brag and don't elaborate, because those things may come back to haunt you.
All right. You say be honest and don't divulge.
Yeah, don't divulge any information about yourself, really, or anyone else that they really wouldn't want you to divulge. And I think before you do talk about your family, you have to ask their permission to include them in the letter, and then you have to allow them to read it and edit it and approve what you've written.
Okay, so what does she tell her mother-in-law? It's his mother. So first off, I would say he needs to do the telling, but what would you have him say?
I would recruit the husband. That can be a united team, and talk to the mother-in-law. I also say, be careful what you tell your mother-in-law all year long, but do ask her before next year if you could see what she's going to send out.
Yeah, and look, she might get offended at this, but she's going to have like a whole year to get over it before the next letter. I mean, seriously. Now, everyone in the studio audience today is going home with a copy of Christmas in My Home and Heart from Robin. So, you don't see inside our home a lot, but you certainly do here, and she has it all decorated. And interestingly enough, every picture in this book, every decoration in there, you did yourself.
Yes, I did.
She put on gloves and did all of this stuff.
I climbed that
ladder. It was fun. When we come back, to tip or not to tip, that is the question. We'll give you the answer when we come back. It's the holidays, and while we're all in the spirit of giving, sometimes what to give and who to give to can really stress you out. Now, Sherry's in our audience, and she wants to know, when do you say enough is enough and draw the line on holiday tipping? So, Sherry, you just don't know who or how much, right?
Exactly. For 19 years, I've lived in the same home, and I've always given gifts or money cards to certain individuals, postman, trash collectors, what have you. But this year, I just can't do it all. And my question is, if I can't give to everybody I have in the past, do I not give to anyone, or pick a couple, or just do nothing at all?
Well, Peggy's got a list of suggested dollar amounts and gifts for virtually everyone that you might need to tip. So first, let's go through a few of those.
If you can't do as much, you can at least give a thank you note, cut back on the amount you give, do a small gift from your child, do something. The key is to say thank you.
Okay, so, but like for a babysitter,
it's usually one
yeah,
night's
one
pay.
evening,
One evening.
or a small gift from the child. Okay, housekeeper, what do you do with a housekeeper?
Same thing, up to 1 week's pay is generally customary, or a small gift.
All right, beauty salon staff?
Beauty salon staff, generally around the country, the norm is to the cost of one visit divided among the staff, the people who work on you, and always say thank you.
Okay, how about the mail carrier?
The letter carrier, small gift only.
I like what you're saying about, we know this is a tough time. So sometimes you have to just write a thank you note, or just let them know you didn't forget them. You didn't just not care this year or whatever. But I also realize that it's a tough time for everybody. So I think if you would normally give $25, it's better to give 10 than not anything at all. Don't give 10 because you're embarrassed that it's less, right?
Exactly.
These are just some of Peggy's suggestions. You can find her full tipping guide on drphil.com. We'll be right back. Okay, well, I want to thank all of my guests for being here today. I hope we tried to really think and look at all of our letters and emails and pick the questions that we got asked the most. So hopefully we touched on some things that'll make this year go a little smoother. Now, Peggy Post has a fantastic Christmas book for your children called Emily's Christmas Gifts, and you can find that at your local bookstore. And tell me the website, the Institute's website. What is that address?
It's emilypost.com, and the thing about this book that I love, the best gifts are the ones that don't go under the tree, and that's what we really talk about.
Yeah, and I love that. All right, thanks again to JCPenney and Western Union. You guys like their gifts today, right? For your generous holiday gifts. Also want to give a special thanks to Paget Communications for the Paget gadgets. Don't y'all like those? It's kind of fun to see what everybody thinks. And don't forget, Robin's latest book, Christmas in My Home and Heart, is on sale now as well. For more information on everything you've seen on today's show, go to drphil.com. Thanks, we'll see you later.